Let's go. I'm on top of this. I run this out like Usain Bolt. Got the ball up in my court. I'm gonna make it go. I don't ever try to quit. I'm always on the go. Ain't left no crumbs on the plate like a pro.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the ASL Season 20 Finals. Tastosis, this may be one of our best finals yet.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this, Tasteless, and this is the hardest to predict finals, in my opinion, for me personally, definitely, but I think overall, that we may have ever had. Like, I really, the matchup is too good. The players' skill sets are so different from each other, and they're both so high level. I really don't know what's going to happen here. This could be a blowout. It could be super close. I don't know, Tasteless.
I think you're probably right about that. I hadn't really looked at it that way, but yeah, it's like a matchup where you're right. It could be like a 4-0 on one side or a 4-0 on the other side, or we could go to Game 7.
Yeah.
Very tough to call who's going to take this. I think if I had to pick one that would be the favorite, I might say SnOw, but I could totally see Soma taking this here.
Yeah, like I really was trying to think who I think is going to win, because I have to take a moment and say at the beginning of the season when I saw like who was in the ASL, I did say I thought that either Soma or SnOw would win this season. That was my official prediction. Here they are in the finals. They are really a level above everyone. But when I think about the matchup that they have against each other, like, they both have such a deep understanding of the game, but they play completely differently. It's not like if you saw, Bisu versus Soma. Like, look at how close that was. They're both, like, masters of that early game and just so good at opening and abusing everything early on. But SnOw is, like, completely opposite of this. Like, he's the best late-game PvZ player, in my opinion, right? He's more micro-intensive, and he's not about necessarily hitting timing attacks. He's more about grinding down. But then you have Soma, who's so good in the early game. Like, is he going to be able to abuse the weaknesses of SnOw because of that? Or does SnOw just defend well enough and then get into an area where Soma might struggle a bit more? I don't know.
It's really hard to say. I would say that SnOw, you're right, he really grinds Zergs down. He's very good at pushing. He's not crazy aggressive like Bisu is. He's also not necessarily... how do I say this? He's pretty orthodox in his approach to the matchup. He's not going to do a lot of crazy stuff in mid-game. If he does, I would love to unpack it for everybody. But, Mini, as an example, getting like, 5 or 6 DTs or doing kind of weird tech reversals. I don't know if we're going to see that here from SnOw. At the same time, Soma might be the strongest early game ZVPer in the ASL. Like, he's just really good at punishing the asymmetry of the matchup in PvZ. The fact that Protoss basically, they don't get a ton of opportunities early on. They're kind of in this development economy mode for a while until they can get Storm and start to get all their gateways and their robo up. It's a funny matchup.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I think, the later mid-game and the late game for the Protoss is pretty simple. But the early game is incredibly complex, and somebody like Soma is going to know how to punish that.
Yeah, and that's why it's so hard to actually figure out what is going to be going on here. By the way, we just had a little show. Well, here you see in PvZ finals, it's always been... or mostly been, always been Zerg victories. But I like the little chart we had before there. That was actually the champions, and you could see that Zerg has the most championships in ASL at this point. So, yeah. Anyways, a lot of really interesting stats going into this, but neither of these guys actually have championships yet. They've both been to the finals before, and I think that makes it even more exciting, right? Like, we're not just looking at Solkey getting ready to win another one.
Yeah. Well, it's been a very unusual season, maybe the most unusual out of any of the seasons that we've had. There have been a ton of upsets, a ton of plot twists. It was a very unusual round of 8 that we had, and it's been interesting. It was honestly a bit refreshing after having Solkey winning that many ASLs in a row. So whoever wins here, it's going to be historic. They've both been to the finals before, but haven't quite crossed the finish line. But tonight, somebody's going to do it.
Well, looking at this is the closest I've ever seen a prediction from the other pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy. Overall, 45, 55, even from the viewers, the fans. Like, this is, and the thing is, I can't really argue with either of these. It's like, yeah, Soma 55, 45, that sounds fine to me. Could have been 55, 45 the other way, too. That's kind of the wild thing. Like, I don't know, man. I'm so pumped because I've never been this confused as to what to think on who to win. I'm normally so opinionated. And I'm just like, I don't know, dude. They're just they're so good, and it's like the matchup that's hardest for me. So I don't know.
It's going to be so fun with these two to see what happens. And this could be a short day. This could be a long one. It's really hard to call here.
Yeah.
You know, PVZ can end really fast. It doesn't generally, excuse me, it doesn't generally have that possible length of, like, let's say a really long TVT or a PVT. Those are statistically the longest matchups in the game. But PVZ can be long. We do get crazy late games. They're more rare. But I would love to see these two guys if we do get into that situation. But I think the most important part about this matchup is going to be how does the early game go down.
The long-awaited grand final of Google Play ASL is here, as we have two players on stage ready to get their first championship star pinned on their lapel. Other competitors that competed for 5 to 10 years, they have those championship badges, but not you. The championship contender Sulky did it 4 times in a row, but you don't have a single star. SnOw, do you think today you will finally get that star? We'll have to see. An opportunity like this might not come again. I'm somebody who gets a lot of chances coming my way, but I missed them all so far. I want to get it this time around. Sulky is a wall, and you are an opportunity, he says. The players that always stop SnOw were fierce players. The last 3 times he crumbled to Sulky. Soma, this time there is no Sulky. Your opponent is SnOw, and all things considered, he is a demanding player. What do you think? From before the start of this season, I have seen him as a really great player, and to be honest, I was hoping he would get knocked out because he plays so well, and it's because he plays so well he made it into the finals. Let's take a look at the ASL statistics. In all the finals that a Protoss faced off against a Zerg, not once did Zerg end up breaking. If you lose here, it will be a historic first. Soma, are you not anxious? Do you not feel the burden? Do you not shudder just looking at SnOw? Was it 3 years ago? But right here, I beat SnOw 3-0. That's all that's on my mind. A 3-0 victory. Anytime I think of SnOw, it's all happy thoughts, he says. Anytime we play, I advance. SnOw is my foothold. I can't even remember. Look, what's done is done. It's in the past, so I don't care. I think today is important. You prepared for a long time. 18 years. You first showed up around 2008. And it's been 10 years of the ASL. You've never had a championship run. Only these unbearable second places. And this would be your third. Can you break this streak this time? You know, out of all the guys I know, there is one who has 7 second place finishes. Tell me about it. I'm fully aware of that too. If you don't get out of this rut, you're bound to be a pushover forever. I know I kind of have to break out here. So what kind of a Zerg is Soma? He has had performances even better than Sulky. What do you think? He is a good player, that is correct. But honestly, in comparison with Sulky, he is of a lower difficulty. A good player, but not the best. Just an ordinary Zerg. A so-and-so Zerg. Soma, what do you think? He has the highest win rate against Protoss in ASL, but loses to me. I think he's just trying to fill himself with confidence. You'll see it when we actually start the match. Anytime you meet Soma, comes out on top, and all SnOw has going for him is confidence. What do you say? Fair enough. But as I played, I realized that if we end up playing again, I should have a chance of winning. I prepared really well this time, and as long as I myself play well, it won't matter if he plays well or not. If I do well, I can win. So, on this stage today, if things go well according to how you prepared, what score do you predict? I think I will win 4-2. 4-2? We are starting on Roaring Currents for the first set. What score do you predict, Soma? I too expect a 4-2 or maybe a 4-3. Finally, let's give you guys a chance to address one another. First, Soma, please address SnOw. Honestly, ever since I got out of the army, I was impressed with how well SnOw plays. Is it even possible to play this well? I'm honest, all things considered, I appreciate his skill. I hope we can have an entertaining match. Okay, and now, SnOw to Soma. Soma is so sharp you might get cut if you're not careful. I will focus and do my best. Truly, an epic match awaits. Neither has had a championship run yet, but both are always valid contenders for the title. As we wonder what result awaits and who will walk out of here with a star on the lapel, please put your hands together and make some noise. It's time to start the grand final match. Many fans are saying it's his season, with tremendous performance. It's been 5 or 6 years, I can't believe it's happening. It feels good, but at the same time, it's a little puzzling. Upon his return from the army, Soma makes it into the finals after 5 years. It's exhilarating. Feels like I'm on cloud 9. I remember not being able to do anything and just losing. Regardless of it being my second final, I was very nervous, my hands were shaking, my mind went blank. I remember how hopelessly lost I was. And we also had to play a rematch, but I do not regret losing back then. I knew I would make it into the finals the next season or the season after that, but I couldn't do it up until my military service. I always felt confident. I thought that as long as I do well, I can win. But then actually playing, I would end up losing and get eliminated. It was my last hurrah before going to the army. I was sure I would end up winning. Looking back, I can see how much I was lacking in terms of theory. I didn't want to admit it, but thinking about it again, it was a good learning experience. It started with a ZVZ against Lava. He's a real hard worker, so I could feel the burden. I am someone who builds momentum, so if I lost the opening game, I would get knocked out in the decider. It was a little scary. His nemesis, 4-time back-to-back champion Sulky, eliminated. At the end of the day, what matters is me playing well. Even if I lost 100 times, I wanted to beat him at least once. But the fact he's gone, that works for me too. Eunbin being here is better for me. When Hyungyoung would draw the round of 8 bracket, both sides of the bracket would be so tough. This time though, it's a stroke of luck. I wasn't confident against Best in the round of 8. I kept thinking I would end up losing. But I showed up to the studio and I started believing what people had to say about me. That I play well. Effort in tournaments is so different. I knew he's dangerous, but things went better than I expected and I was able to win. When I played against Barracks, the thing I found troublesome was that my win rate in practice was very low. I played a lot, I lost a lot, my mentality got shaken. Hindsight is 2020, but the process was a tough one. The semi-final match was the toughest one this time. Bisu is a living Protoss legend, but as far as playing goes, I thought I would have an easy time winning. But as expected, Bisu does not go down without a fight. As we went to the rubber match, I thought I had already lost. I thought to myself, go big or go home. My gambit worked, and I won the match. I think there are 2 Zergs that are really good. Those 2 are Sulky and Soma. I think he's demanding, I can see that. SnOw is not just your ordinary Protoss. The SnOw I played before I went to the army, and the SnOw I play now, those are 2 different people. I can recognize him for that. Each other's weaknesses. I think Soma doesn't look at the minimap well, and he gets somewhat shaky at times. And the rest, I'll keep to myself. SnOw's weakness is that despite his outstanding micro, his multitasking is weak. Like having 5 probes just lounging around. I've improved, grown, getting eliminated by Sulky 3 times. I now have some experience under my belt. SnOw hates hearing how much he has lost to me. I hardly have any memory of that. I'll prove it this time that I've changed. All things considered, I don't think people change. SnOw will lose once more. I can't be the runner-up for the 3rd time. I'll win this time. Soma will have a second place finish. Try and win next time, Soma. I have the confidence not to be shaken by SnOw's exceptional micro. SnOw, I will show you why you are my punching bag. It feels like I'm back to my pro gamer days from a decade ago. I really want to win and raise the trophy this time. Winning a championship just does not feel real. I want to experience this unreal feeling. I'd like to thank all the fans who showed up and the people who always cheer for me. I want to raise the championship trophy in front of my family and take a picture. I want to be a cool dad for my daughter, Hasol. I hope she watches this later and thinks I'm cool. So I really want to make this season into one where I win. I'll be the champion. I will win the championship fighting.
All right, guys, we are moments away from getting into this finals here. And again, I don't think we could have had anything that looks closer than this. It could go either way. I'm super pumped for this. Where we left off, we were talking about how the early game is probably going to be the most significant. I think we really got to see how does Soma handle a Protoss that's going to be developing, because pretty much every one of these games, if not all these games, are going to be fast expanding PvZ for the Protoss.
I would definitely say that that's the case, especially with SnOw. I can't imagine him really doing some of these 2-gate plays that we've seen out of Mini and Bisu a little bit and Best a little bit. That doesn't seem like it's SnOw's style. You know, SnOw definitely plays like his own way of kind of grinding down Zerg players later on into the game. So I do think there's certain positions where he's going to do much better than the other Protoss players, and then certain positions where there's a question mark for me. It's like, okay, in that early game, if he's not putting on as much or as high quality pressure as some of these other Protosses, is that something Soma can run with, right? Whereas if you look at like the later game, for instance, on Roaring Currents, we definitely saw that there was some issues with the other players' play, like Bisu, for instance, right? He's like just going out and attacking over and over and not utilizing Psystorm and things like that. I don't think that we're going to see SnOw make mistakes like that. It's going to be a very different looking series than what we've seen so far.
I do think that SnOw has some of the best pushes in the game. He's very good when you get to the point where you're basically just trying to take fight after fight and trade well with storms. His mid-game and early game, he's generally not that tricky. Like, we don't really see SnOw cannon rush that much. He doesn't like to do that style that Bisu does, as an example, where he goes for high zealot pressure into +1 Corsairs. He tends to play a little bit of a slower game here and kind of just develops and gets all the tech he needs, makes sure he scouts correctly, and plays a pretty modest game. But we could have some surprises for sure. I mean, SnOw is somebody who's got a wide range of play, so we'll see if he has any tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, I think he'll come in pretty well planned. But I do want to mention that I think that Soma is one of our best jack-of-all-trades players. Soma, we talk a lot about his early game, but the thing is, every game goes through the early game. And Soma really is an expert in every single way. He definitely is more early game focused than someone like Sulky is. Sulky definitely is a little bit more of a later game Zerg. But I feel like Soma probably has one of the best understandings of StarCraft of everyone. Like, he's a very good planner. He just kind of gets the game. He's good in every aspect. And I think that makes him hard to prepare for correctly, because he's just, like, I've seen a bunch of his guides and his analysis of certain things, and it's like, oh, this guy is thinking on a very high level.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to punish the Protoss as they're trying to get those building blocks set up, but I think you're completely right, Artosis. Like, he's very strong in the late game, definitely knows how to kind of make the game as hard as possible for his opponent. And, you know, SnOw, this has been historically the matchup that he's struggled at. You know, he's been the greatest Protoss vs. Terran player ever for a long time now. It's been years and years and years and years of SnOw basically being the end-all of that matchup. And his PvP has always been good. Obviously, if you're the best Reaver control player in the world, your PvP is probably going to be pretty solid. But PvZ, you know, it's a very, very different matchup. This is the matchup where Protoss have to be the ones that push out. You know, PvT, if you're a kind of macro Zerg-like player, you know, that's, a very different beast. You know, it's funny, Terran have two matchups besides their mirror matchup where they have to push out. Zerg have two matchups where they have to basically stay back and macro and kind of grow. And then Protoss has one of each. And so SnOw's clearly mastered the kind of macro, swarmy PvT matchup. But when it comes to more of like a pushing, almost like you're a Terran here, that's where it's been a little bit tougher for him. So if he can overcome this here today, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I also want to, before we get too deep into the minutia of like Protoss versus Zerg and everything, like I want to mention that SnOw is really like a god tier player in many, many ways. Like, we just saw the chart up a moment ago. The last 3 seasons in a row, he lost in the round of 4 to Sulky. Like, what are you going to do? Sulky, like, and if you look at his other results in ASL, like, SnOw should have multiple championships, right? He was stopped 3 times in a row by Sulky. If you look at the 2 finals he went to, he was stopped by the best Terran player, Flash, and the best Protoss player, Rain, right? Rain, by far the best PvP we've ever seen. So, like, it takes the literal best player of every race to shut SnOw down on most of these seasons. And now we don't have that here, right? So it's like, hey, you know, you look at the balance of ASL victories, and you're like, wow, Zerg has the most, Terran has second most, and Protoss is way below. But a lot of that is just because SnOw keeps getting stopped by Sulky and Flash.
Yeah, that's true. He's had very specific players that have basically barred him out.
Yeah.
So it's maybe important to emphasize it's not the matchup alone, but also the players behind those matchups that kind of locked him out. And Soma, while he's performed well against SnOw, I would not say that he's a hurdle SnOw can't overcome here.
Yeah, I think that this really, really can go either way. And the funny thing is, normally I'm like, oh God, this map 1 is going to really set the tone. But it's Roaring Currents. Anything can happen. The map is crazy. It's not completely solved yet. You know, it's that wild island map that we've seen so many crazy games on. And so far, the Protosses honestly haven't been playing it very well. I think everyone can agree on that we're watching Bisu just fly 6 carriers across the map and attack. It's like, hey, bro, if you had a Psystorm, you'd win this game. You know, like we've seen a lot of, like attacking uphill into Sunkens and stuff, and it's like, I think we're going to see SnOw play it better, but no matter what happens in this game, I don't feel like it's going to be indicative of the whole series because the map is so strange.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Artosis, that the Protosses haven't played the map, I think, as well as they could have. The Zergs definitely seem to come in here a little bit more prepared. I think SnOw might have a much stronger handling of this matchup on this map compared to the other players, but overall, by the way, this map has been a real treat for this season of ASL. We had years where we would have these experimental maps, which I think you've got to bring out some. It does push our understanding of the game and allow for new strategies or even new units, new build orders to develop. But, you know, it seemed, I don't know, you know, this map has made for, I think, it's so fair, and it's not so crazy that it's like, you know, you can't come into it with some core knowledge and try to build that into the changes on this map. Like, you do still get like a fast expand opener here. There is some ground. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But whatever game we have here for map 1, it will not resemble what we have for the rest of the maps, because the other maps are much more ordinary.
Definitely. But I'm most excited about this map anyways. Like, Roaring Currents has been great, as you said. I hope we get it back next season. I can't imagine it occurring, but I really, really want it. Everyone has enjoyed the map immensely, but this might be our last pro game on it. So guys, buckle in. We're about to start the finals. Game 1 on Roaring Currents.
Okay, Zerg in the top right, Protoss in the bottom left here. Completely packed, by the way, today here at the Jomshill studio. This is the Coliseum here, the Soup Coliseum. Great venue here. We've had many StarCraft 1 finals in before.
Yeah.
This map that we're on does have 4 islands. 3 in the lower right and 1 in the top left. And then you are connected by this winding, twisting land bridge. So you have on your side of the map your natural expansion and then 2 others. But the 2 other expansions are actually a bit low on resources.
Yeah, that's really important to point out, because like, you can take the whole ground area on your side, but if your opponent, you know, kind of goes about that in a slower way but gets some islands going, they're going to be at probably a big advantage. So just something to keep in mind, that those resources are pretty low. Island control is pretty important. And we've seen a decent variety of games here. I do want to point out once again that Soma is very close with Larva, and there is literally not a question about it. Larva is by far the best Roaring Currents player in the world. Like, by far. I've seen so many of his games on it, not just in ASL, where he dominated literally everybody on the map. He didn't lose a game here. He beat everybody solidly. but I've seen a ton of his actual like ladder games and stream games on it too, and the guy doesn't lose, so he knows the types of strategies to utilize here, and I'm guarantee you that he's helped Soma with that.
I think you're probably right. The travel distance on this map by ground is crazy long, so rushes are very unlikely. So I think the whole idea from SnOw's opening here was to send the probe across the map and see, you know, not am I being rushed or do I have to worry about something, but how greedy can I actually be here? And so what we're seeing is Nex is first, and then he actually pylon blocks Soma because Soma was going for 3 hatchery before pool. So crazy amounts of greed here. What he does instead of trying to contest the pylon is he throws his hatchery down next to it. And I don't think Soma is going to try to cancel the hatch and remake it over there. But yeah, we're having very unusual openings here. Even for the Protoss' side of the map, he's getting his gateway now. He doesn't have to get a forge right away. Again, there's no threat of Zerglings or Hydras yet.
Yeah, he'll get his gas. He might even get his Cybernetics core before that forge. Why not? The pool is so late. And, you know, stuff like this is fun. This is part of the reason why this map is so fantastic, is like, I mean, it is a 2-player map. You could attack each other early if you really wanted to, but watching them both greed in the most absurd way possible, you know, they're really going to be powered up. And I feel like this game is just going to play directly into, like, a big, strong macro game where there is going to be fighting, I think, over the islands.
Yeah, I think so. Did make me wonder. I didn't want to bring it up unless we saw it, but I just, in case this is the last time we see this map, I always wondered why we didn't have any Protosses just proxy gate.
Yeah.
You know, the Zerg doesn't seem to scout that early. I mean, if you're going to go, I mean, you can kill someone that's going hatch first with proxy gate if you control it right. But I mean, as someone who's going to go for 3 hatches, I mean, if you release the Zealots at the right time, it seems like it'd be incredibly powerful.
I think
but this game's going to be a macro game. Sorry, go ahead.
I think you're basically right about that, but I think also the tricky part about choosing to do a cheese like that on this map is theoretically this should be very Protoss favored because of Corsairs. Like, it should be Protoss favored, even though Zerg has been winning on it. Like, if I'm a Protoss player, I'm like, no, this is the one map where, like, I should win almost no matter what. But the thing is, that hasn't been the case. So, yeah. Woo! You almost got that drone. He was so close.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. So it's up to 4 hatches now. The 4th hatchery is going to be where the expansion hatchery should be, just next to the one that was blocked earlier. And SnOw's continuing to scout around. Tech is developing rapidly here back at home for Protoss. His Stargate's about to be finished. And he started his Robo here. And, you know, a lot of the early game PVZs kind of look the same on this map, but once you get the Stargate tech out, if there's an island set up like this, it always makes sense to get the Robo right after that. And that way you can take a 3rd base pretty quickly and the Corsairs can protect it.
Yeah, and, you know, you're going to be able to get those Reavers out in case of some sort of aggression as well. You know, that's one thing that does play towards SnOw's strength here, too. He is, you know, we've said it a million times, but it bears repeating. He is the best Reaver user in the world by miles. It's not even close. So, like, any map in which it's a good idea to go Reaver is a map that he should be exceedingly strong at.
Okay, the first Corsair is going to come in here and hit this Overlord and kill that off. So he's just going to send that right back in. The Overlord is going to see and confirm the Robo is done. And we don't have a Spire just yet, and we might not have a Spire for a little bit. It's possible that we're just going to have Overlord speed and drop upgraded here. Zerg is going to be taking the 4th base on the landmass. So all the expansions for Zerg now on their side of the map have been acquired. That would mean that if Zerg wanted to expand more, you would have to either take one of the islands or, and this probably won't happen, but or you would have to expand to the Protoss side of the map.
Yeah, and it could. Like, we've seen it a little bit for sure. And if he just focuses on land units, I guess that would make sense in a way. But how do you ever break SnOw if he's taking islands and, you know, has Reavers up a ramp with cannons and stuff? That's going to be incredibly hard to break. I'm actually, like, in a way, a little surprised. I'm really excited just to see what Soma's going to do because he is such a smart player. But I'm a little bit surprised that he doesn't have a Spire, if for no other reason than to start +1 flyer carapace. Because if you don't get Flyer Carapace, the Corsairs will just destroy. You know, for sure he's getting +1 on them. He has his second Stargate already. I'd be surprised if the game goes long and he doesn't get a Fleet Beacon and even goes for +2. And if you don't have Zerg Flyer Carapace, your Overlords will evaporate. You won't even be able to get to an island.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's funny, the Corsair, that was one of the big additions for Protoss in the Brood War expansion pack, and the reason why I think this unit was important and Blizzard put it in here was because you really didn't have a good answer as Protoss for air units.
Yeah.
Like, the Scout was too expensive. I mean, I guess it can be good if you get a bunch of upgrades, but it just doesn't really make sense money-wise. Hold up. Here's a shuttle. Shuttle speed just now finishes. Shot fired, and it only gets 1 Hydra. Luckily, he does get back out.
Yeah, that was dangerous there for a moment. Actually, back to what you said, Brood War as an expansion, almost everything put into it was anti-air against Mutalisks. It was the Valkyrie, it was the Corsair, it was Goliath range, Maelstrom for the Dark Archon, like the Medic for healing Marines, like almost everything. If you actually go back, if we played vanilla StarCraft, Zerg wins everything by miles. It's not even close.
Yeah, it's funny. There was actually, I don't know if this is a thing anymore, but there used to be players that would compete in not Brood War, like in vanilla StarCraft, and they had their own like little scene. And I remember every once in a while I'd go back and play with those guys, and I remember just being like, oh, this is a totally different matchup because I don't have Corsairs.
Yeah.
Like suddenly Mutalisks are just a lot more difficult to deal with. But yeah, Brood War definitely kind of added in this whole extra element of sophisticated air-to-air combat.
Yeah.
Where initially it was like the Muto basically reigned supreme. So in this game, we're seeing some decent drops here from the Reaver. I wouldn't say it's done anything too impactful yet here. But Protoss is going up to 3 bases. I mean, the macro element of this game is accelerating really, really quickly here. And the Corsairs are continuing to roam around the map and hit any overlords that they can.
Yeah, he's taken a bit of Corsair damage, but, you know, that's not SnOw's forte. I think, you know, Bisu would have been a little bit cleaner with them or something like that. But overall, I like how he's setting this up. He's got a Reaver on the island, so that's going to be really hard to take back. He's already thrown down some cannons. And, in fact, if you look at which island he took the harder-to-defend one in the center so that it will be set up. Because he knows that he's not going to lose an island early. So you may as well set that up, get the good defense on it, and he'll take the one behind that near his base a little bit later.
Okay, another Scarab's going to come out here. I don't know what. I think that got stuck on a Zergling that was running past it. You know, these drops are very high risk. I mean, you're basically killing 1 or 2 Hydras, and if you lose the shuttle and the Reaver, you're in terrible shape. So it's kind of a nail biter here watching him go in and out like this. He's teched up into DTs, and this is, I think, where we saw Bisu falter a little bit, is I think Templar tech is an absolute must on island maps. I think Corsairs and even Carriers are fine, but, I mean, Storm is, in some ways, just like the best thing in the whole game. Like, you know, not having it is huge. And DTs, a lot of times, as well, in these drops can be very, very handy. You know, if your Corsairs, if you could drop your Corsairs, kill the Overlords, the DT can kill everything that's on the island, right? And so, as the game's fleshing out, we still have a turtled-up Protoss that's staying back and controlling the islands, where Zerg is just staying in this really defensive position here on their landmass, continuing to develop. Oh, hold on. SnOw's moving in.
Oh, he slips 1 DT out to go to the 4th base and 1 into the main. So we'll see if he gets any damage done with that. Overlord speed is, of course, done here, so I'm not sure that he'll be able to get too much done. But yeah, this DT at the 4th base, going to be chased away, it looks like. No, he's actually a little bit out of position. But it doesn't seem like the DTs are doing that much.
Pretty good sweeping here by Soma. I like the idea from SnOw, but yeah, I mean, Soma's pretty bulletproof with his control. And now we're getting a lot of Dragoons over here. And this is, I think we casted one game where this became a thing. But, you know, when you go into this kind of Corsair shuttle Reaver, what you can do as the game develops more and more is you can go into a giant Dragoon Reaver push, almost like it's a PvP. And sometimes Zergs can't really deal with that, and that might be tough for someone like Soma to fight on, just because this map, it's very narrow. You know, you're basically fighting in these giant hallways, and so Dragoon Reaver can be really good there, because Dragoon Reaver is extremely strong when it's fighting from like one angle.
Yes. That's a really good point because there's only the single bridge and everything's kind of tight. So like you can actually enforce not getting flanked here. That's like kind of like
exactly.
You can make this really, really strong ground army. But we saw when Larva played Bisu did that. He did like heavy Dragoons. He tried to push everything with like Reaver Storm Dragoon. And Larva just sat in these defensive arcs. He utilized a lot of ensnares and just shut it down. It just did not come close to working. Now, obviously, Soma plays a bit different here from Larva. So I don't know if he's going to try to attempt to do something like that. But it does look like he's getting ready to attack. He's got 1 million Scourge, and he's loading up his Overlords.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to try to hit this island. Now, I mean, there's a lot over here. Okay, he's going to move in. The Scourge are going to come in right now, and it seems like they connect on some of their targets. The Psystorms are going to blanket this area. I think, hold on a second. Depends on how these Scarab shots connect. Yeah, Snow's going to hold it. It looked like it might have been close for a second, and then it was like, nope.
Well, this is why, in theory, Protoss should always win on Roaring Currents. Like, this season wasn't to hurt Sulky, it was to make a Protoss win in a lot of ways with the map pool. And you can kind of see here, it's like this map, again, should be Protoss favored, and you can see just how are you ever going to break that with Zerg? It's insane. It's so difficult.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Protoss have always, naturally been very strong in island positions. Like, their units kind of synergize really well together. And yeah, there was a moment in that drop I thought, oh, maybe this is going to work. And then you just realize, oh, it's only 4 lurkers left, and all the Scarabs fire into the center of them and blow everything up. But the game's not done yet. Zerg took a big loss there in that fight, and I think Protoss is going to really be able to free up more space for themselves on the map. But this game is far from over.
Yeah, the Muta's flying in towards that main base. I can't see this doing too well. He still has a decent amount of Corsairs, doesn't he? I know the Scourge definitely eliminated a few, but he's got to still have like 4 or 5, I would imagine.
Yeah, now the Mutas are just going to stay here in the back, and this is kind of crazy. I guess he wanted to try to force this whole army back over here. If he gets the Corsairs down, he can just kill off all of these Overlords. Like, they're just waiting quietly down there.
Okay, it looks like
here we go. The Corsairs are going to come in.
Yeah, he has 5 Corsairs remaining. I do wonder if he's going to replenish that amount. I feel like you should. Like, obviously, he's going to have his own set of plans for the map, but it feels like you should always have a decent-sized group of Corsairs here, just to make sure that you're controlling the islands. And, again, don't forget, like, D-Web, Disruption Web is... If you're going to break an island, that is going to be the strongest tool that you possibly have.
I feel like we should see the other islands taken right away here by SnOw if he wants to win this. Just fill him up with cannons. Okay, here we go. He's going to move in now. Another big drop. The Mutas are going to be targeting down these Reavers. The Corsairs coming in the back.
Well, this one is actually going to break it. Like, he got the Reavers picked off with the Mutalisks really, really quickly. There was not enough anti-air there. And he had picked off the Psystormer, High Templar, that's what it's called, very quickly there as well. And now it's just probes fighting Hydras and Lurker Eggs being morphed. So suddenly, kind of a tough position, and SnOw feels like he needs to counterattack, and I think he might be right about that. This is not looking good.
Yeah. You know what I think would help a lot here? It's not going to be the first time we've said this, but a Dark Archon.
Yeah.
You can freeze the Overlords as they're going to drop you. And there really isn't any recourse for Zerg. But now, SnOw's lost that island. The top left is being acquired here. The rest of the map is going to mine out. Protoss obviously is going to get their 2 free bases. Zerg's already taken their 2 free bases, but this is eventually going to come down to who controls which parts of the islands. And I'm a little bit worried for SnOw here because it seems like he's just ignored the top left. And very quietly, Soma is filling that in. And, it's easy for Protoss, I think, to hold islands in a lot of ways. It's not on small islands like what this map has. It's actually kind of hard for, I think, the Protoss to break the Zerg. Like Spores and Sunken Colonies, and the fact that Protoss really can't transport a lot in shuttles.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at like 4 Zealots. Like, the strongest drop you can have with the shuttle is 2 Reavers, right? But, if there's a Spore colony and 4 Sunken colonies, the 2 Reavers aren't going to do anything, right?
Yeah.
And now Soma's taking a fight over here onto the high ground. I always forget this high ground area even exists until we see action over here.
You know, as far as breaking islands, that goes back to the Corsairs again. You know, D-Web is the ultimate at breaking islands. You can just turn off the static D. And, you know, obviously with carriers that can be strong, but then you can look at, you know, that's where you can have Defilers start countering everything too. So, you know, there's like, if you theory craft it, it's like, okay, Protoss probably is slightly better there, but Defilers can change the math of everything as well. I would like to see him continually use the Corsairs still. It's important that he holds that island, but Soma's kind of taking everything else right now. And SnOw has to be really aware of this.
So this is getting a little bit scary. I mean, really, the control of the map here has been completely lost right now by SnOw. And I think he's going to have to fight really hard to reclaim the bottom 3 islands. I know we know he has one, and then he lost one earlier when the Zerg dropped it. But like, this could be a game where it's going to be hard for each side to kill each other off. But whoever had the extra island basically ends up winning because of the extra resources.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Another big drop in here. Hold on.
Man.
SnOw cannot afford to lose this.
Yeah, getting rid of those 2 High Templars is so key, because like one Psy Storm here breaks this draw. Like it just, one side, there you go. But it's a little bit late, because now the Cannon's already dead, the Zealot's already dead. You kind of needed that a little bit earlier on. And Soma, it looks like he's going to be able to kill another base.
Yeah, the Zealots are going to drop in here. I don't think there's enough. And again, you know, we are seeing, you know, as strong as Protoss is on island maps, you can kind of see their limitations. It's hard to get a fighting force over here. You know, the fact that the Overlord doubles as a farm in this game means you're always, as long as you have the upgrades, you're always good to go drop a huge amount of units in there. Yeah. And so we see that island reclaimed. But you know, while we're seeing that little battle that SnOw win, he could be losing the bigger war here because the other islands have not been denied yet.
Absolutely. I think Soma's definitely winning the game right now. But I think the biggest problem is every time we're seeing Soma's drops actually work, it's based on the mutas flying in and sniping the splash damage. He needs to prevent that. And whether that's through better minimap awareness and pre-storming, or if that's through just keeping a group of Corsairs out here. I mean, there's ways to do it, but he's just like sitting there completely blind. You know, the mutas are just flying in, killing his splash damage, and he has no recourse.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see that SnOw's approach to this is to make something like 2 control groups of Scourge and 1 control group of mutas, and just kind of overwhelm the Corsairs to the point where the Corsairs don't really have an option to shoot down the Overlords. Like, if they target the Overlords when the drop hits, you will lose all the Corsairs. And that will be that. And so they have to try to fight, and the Corsair number gets, you know, knocked down to 0 or close to 0. But by then, the Hydras are getting unloaded, you know, and there's a lot of great micro techniques that Soma's using as he's dropping. Like, anytime a Hydra is about to be killed during the drop, he starts to morph a Lurker with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, remember, like, you can't reclaim an island if you don't have the ability to kill the Lurker, if you don't have the vision of that. So, like, one Lurker finishes and all the cannons are gone, now you can't get the island back. You know, that's going to be hard to do.
Oh, my God. Some very wasteful drops coming in here. Throws in 3 shuttles, but, you know, he has some Psy Storm. Not enough damage, really, to get rid of these Sunkens, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, there is just enough here to kind of hold this off. And, you know, I thought this was coming eventually, and it actually never happened. But I thought we were going to have the carriers made. And it's not happening. And so, you know, we have this, like, really powerful upgraded Protoss army, but, like, it can't get onto an island. And I think now it probably won't ever get onto an island successfully.
You know, Bisu was going in the right direction against Soma on the map, getting into the carriers, but he was lacking the splash damage. Here we see a ton of splash damage from SnOw, but we don't see the continual Stargate production. I think the Zergs are way outplanning Protosses on this map. It's kind of crazy, because Protoss has the tools to deal with all of this, and we're just not seeing any Protoss kind of put it all together.
What I thought we were going to have here was Corsair Reaver with Templars, and I don't know, maybe 4 gates, 6 gates, something like that. But then 2 to 3 Stargates making carriers, basically. That's what I thought the game would go into. And mostly it would be like a couple Zealots, a couple Archons, a couple Templars, a couple Reavers, and then this like carrier fleet with the Corsairs paired with them, with D-Web, denying islands.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it just didn't happen, though.
No, it didn't. It's really weird to watch. Like, the Protosses are not thinking about this map clearly. You remember our Protoss player Brain that's been in a couple seasons?
Of course.
He's one of the best, fastest map players in the world. I would bet $1,000 on him against Soma on this map. Like, he's not as good as Soma, but he understands that it's like, yeah, there's a ton of economy. Just make the ultimate army. Get the Corsairs, get the carriers, get the D-Web, get +2 air attack, have a lot of Psy Storm, you know. And then we're watching, like, these guys that are used to playing, you know, on Radeon and on Polestar, and it's like just not approaching this correctly, whereas the Zergs are being really creative about it. Like, Soma and Larva have shown us some really great ideas, and then we just have SnOw flying shuttles in.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, even this was like a 4 shuttle drop. Once you have a Nidus connecting your island, like, you're not going to overpower them. I mean, you're going to need to have like 8 or 9 shuttles unloading stuff, and even then, I think it's still a bit of a game of chance here, you know? Zerg do have the tools to hold these islands, and it's why, you know, whoever takes an island, they have to set it up and hold it, and if they hold it, that's basically everything. Remember that the 2 free bases you get on your side of the map don't have that many resources. So if I'm looking at this game correctly, I think SnOw is going to basically mine out on his landmass, and then have one dinky island, and just slowly wither up and die. The carrier tech doesn't appear to be ever coming in this game. And so now the Zerg has actually gone into Guardians to try to put even more pressure onto the one island that's there. And, you know, you were kind of saying this earlier, Tastosis, but yeah, I just feel like the Protosses on this map for this season did not quite rise to the occasion.
No, they didn't.
You know, I think SnOw had a better start and a better mid game, but then he didn't, I think, do the end game right. So what we're going to see now is a push. And remember that there's a lot of resources that have gone into, like, controlling these islands, and now we're getting these Guardians and everything like that. Maybe there's a world where the Protoss can just push and come through and wipe out all these bases. And again, there's no resources here really for Zerg.
Yeah.
But there is infrastructure. Zerg are extremely uncomfortable if they're stuck on only small islands because they can barely fit hatcheries and their tech and defenses there. So that's something else to keep in mind.
Well, at least they have overlords that fly, right? So they can still not be supply blocked. They don't need that many buildings. Obviously, the larva count would be low, but like they can have all their tech kind of easily. The thing is, I'm watching SnOw right now push into mined out bases, which, like, the value of these is very minimal. Like, he's dead. The game's over. He got way, way outplayed here. I would say that just... I don't want to be too harsh, but I have to be harsh. The Protoss players have failed this season on Roaring Currents. Like, they have been completely out-strategized by the Zerg players. We've seen gaping holes in every single Protoss on this map.
I basically agree. Like, I think that they didn't quite play it out right, and the Zergs now... I mean, even in this game, it looked like SnOw could have won. But, you know, eventually... Soma took all the islands, and SnOw had something like 2 shuttles to try to reclaim it, and it's just not enough, you know. And you know, if you're going to be trying to play like that, you need to first of all make sure you're absolutely on top of every island right away. You know, trying to fill them up with cannons as fast as possible, trying to you know, unload as much as quickly as possible. But you know, Soma just took the top left island for free. I don't even think SnOw was scouting it. And then, yeah, you know, again, I also think Dark Archons play a really big role here in stopping these drops.
Sure.
When the Zerg tries to drop you, they have to do a whole bunch of things back-to-back perfectly for the drop to work. And if you can freeze either the Overlords or the Scourge of Mutas, anything, you can probably shut that down. And it's kind of crazy to go back and think that we actually had a game where Soma lost everything in that first drop, and then still recovered, and is probably going to win on this map.
Well, SnOw didn't want to keep his Corsair count up. I think that's one thing that Bisu did really well on this map the second time he played it, is he kept that Corsair count super high no matter what. He was literally over 12 for almost the entire game because he knew he was going to lose Corsairs. But then he just didn't add in High Templars. That was the problem with Bisu. And here, you know, if you had combined the way that SnOw played this with the way Bisu did this, it would be like a perfect game, and I think you'd be absolutely slammed here as Soma. But SnOw's got about one more chance. He's running low on gas. He is maxed. He's using mass hallucination. I like that. It's a good idea, right? It's going to make it harder to clear everything. You should probably put the hallucinations a little bit further in the front. For people that are StarCraft 2 people, you can't tell which ones are hallucinations, not even with detection.
Yeah. Oh, I'm actually glad you mentioned that. I hadn't thought of that. You know, unfortunately, this isn't going to do that much either. He is going to be able to kill the one unit on the high ground. By the way, we didn't really get time to mention this, but Zerg's actually taking the Protoss' expansion here at the 9 o'clock position here. So this is getting worse and worse here. I don't know how many resources are actually back at home here for SnOw, but I think he's almost mined out.
Yeah.
So I don't think this game's going to go on for too much longer. Obviously, the Zerg doesn't have that many resources either, but he's certainly going to be getting a little bit more than what we're seeing over here.
Well, the Archon's doing a pretty good job against this type of drop here, but he gets a lot of lurkers out there. Looks like he should be able to clear this still. You know, maybe if SnOw can clear this island to the south there, like he just held that, so that was really good. You know, don't forget, like, Soma will run out of resources. He's not mining much from that island, so he's kind of got 2 islands mining right now. He is going to be mining from the additional base. Like, obviously, he's ahead here and doing a bit better. But you can see the power of these Psy Storms. Obviously, he's doing a great job with those. And maybe he can break an island and get it. Maybe.
Well, the thing is, Zerg keeps taking stuff off the island and bringing it up here, so maybe he could actually drop now. I'm actually wondering if... I mean, I get the idea that he can stop him from mining up here, but it's like you also need to get those... You need to turn that into your base, basically.
He has to take an... If he's going to win this game, he has to take another island. He cannot win on the bank that he has.
That island, specifically. But I think the real nail in the coffin, too, is the fact that Soma has this base up here. Now, seems like we're going to have a push here from SnOw. I think this is doable. Where's the Observer, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see an Observer there.
Oh,
his gas is so low right now. Really having a hard time with that. A lot of Hydras coming across. Oof. He has all those Zealots on the high ground. That only helps with drops that might come in. Oh, God, this isn't going to go well. Ooh, good thing he turns around there.
And now... Yeah, I just don't see any way to recover now. So much of the map is basically mined out. The most mineral-rich location is the place that's being contested by the Protoss. Okay, here we go. The mutas are just going to come through here and snipe every single Templar. Looks like one does remain alive here.
Yeah. And then he's going to make
Guardians. He's actually morphing those into Guardians. He's going to push it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Soma is using a lot of the tools that Zerg has, and SnOw is playing it like a ground map.
Yeah, he's playing it like there was 1 or 2 islands, and the reality is the islands they're just so important. Now, hold on a second. He's going to push here. This might actually break this, and if he can get a Nexus up here, the game will go on. I just don't know that it'll go on into a game that's going to be a win.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he'll break it either. A lot more High Templars coming up, but his actual ground army pretty weak. It's going to be mostly Zealots coming out now, I would imagine. Really good Psy Storms.
Crazy good Psy Storm. Yeah, really impressive. The drones are just going to get sent over here and try to drink up as many of the minerals as possible. The Zerg is now pushing over here. Remember, Archons have almost no range. So, I mean, they really can't fight Guardians as long as the Guardians are controlled well. This base is going to be pushed away. There is enough money in the bank that he can basically... God, he needs to storm those workers. Okay.
Oof. That's crazy.
Oh, my God. He's somehow just not getting the ones that are actually on the patch. So he will be able to make a Nexus there. Now, this is mined out. I believe that the island map that's the closest... Sorry, the island that's the closest to the center is also like literally a minute away from mining out.
Yeah,
but that means that Zerg still has that. Yeah, that means Zerg. This base right here, there's actually a lot of resources here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is going to go away. Actually, a decent amount over there too. I don't even know if it makes sense to make a nexus here if you want to long distance mine this.
You long distance mine it. There's not enough minerals left at the patches, and he's got a million workers that aren't doing anything right now. Soma's coming in for another push. Like,
he's actually going to push the nexus that this would be returning stuff
to. I think at this point it's just like it's about being efficient. Like, you just take it slow, push with the Guardians, don't clump them. Like, running in and trying to suddenly break a bunch of empty bases doesn't make sense. You really have to kind of look at this in a different way. Like, see these clumped Guardians? It's like, well, Soma's far enough ahead that maybe he's like, well, I'll just kill him now. But honestly, I think you've got to be careful about this because there's so much splash damage in the Protoss army. Whereas if you just spread these Guardians, like, really anally, you know, like, well, I guess he's going to break through anyways.
Yeah, I didn't even realize those Overlords had anything in them. Okay, so that should be game here.
Yeah.
SnOw now down to 83 supply. GG. Soma takes game number 1 in what was a crazy first game there. I definitely think that there was probably a better approach there from SnOw.
Of course there was.
It did seem like on a map with 4 extremely valuable islands, if you have like only 2 or 3 shuttles moving around, if you're letting your Corsair count get shut down, absolutely Zerg is going to start to hatch out a ton of Scourge, a ton of Mutas, and just start unloading their armies over here. And once they get those defenses up, if you don't have an insane number of shuttles, you can't reclaim it as Protoss. You're not going to drop 2 Archons or 2 Reavers or 2 Zealots and also 2 Templars and overtake any well-defended island like that. And so a game that seemed to be slipping away from Soma for a little bit, he totally stabilized, cemented his hold on the islands, and eventually SnOw just dried up.
SnOw refused to keep a decent Corsair count. I think a decent Corsair count wins that game for him, and he just did not do it. He lost his Corsairs like once, didn't really remake. Big mistake.
Was he on 1 Stargate?
He was on 2? Yeah, he canceled his 2nd Stargate. Like, he had one, and then he canceled, and it's like, I mean, it was super clear. I don't even understand how the planning goes down for these. It's like your practice partners are bad or something. Because, like, if you watch what Bisu did, if you just add Psystorm into that, Zerg will never beat you. You know? Like, it's just not, it's not going to happen. Like, imagine if you have your Corsairs sitting here. Oh, my God. It's just he comes in and he snipes 2 Reavers and a High Templar instantly. There's no counterplay. Here come 3 Corsairs, 5 Corsairs.
Yeah, 5 Corsairs.
Really late.
This was actually right after there was another attack where the Protoss actually held but lost all the Corsairs.
Yeah.
You know, I think you need to have 3, I don't know, maybe even 4 Stargates there. You know, there's a point where eventually you're both maxed out. And, you know, when Zerg is maxed out and they lose a big chunk of their army, they can remake any army they want immediately.
Yeah.
And the way that Protosses and Terrans have to try to kind of be in the same world as that is you need to have enough of every building that makes everything that matters. So you need to have multiple Robos, multiple Stargates.
Yep.
You can't just rely on gateways. And I think we just didn't see enough shuttles in important moments in this game. And we didn't see enough Corsairs in important moments in this game. And it wasn't like SnOw didn't build his way up to that. The problem was once the Zerg hit that number down to 0, now you're incrementing out Corsairs 1 by 1. Now you're incrementing out shuttles 1 by 1. And keep in mind, you got to make observers too. You got to make reavers too. And yeah, he just didn't kind of have the engine behind his own economy to then get the tools necessary to reclaim. What are the win conditions for that map, the island bases?
Yes. All right, we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back,
no, I got
game 2.
Tastosis. Quiet. I'm going to say it now. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back.
For esports pros, awareness is essential. That's why the Black Shark V3 Pro is tuned in to what matters most. A quantum leap in speed for instant audio response. Full-range clarity that carries every shot call. Advanced ANC to eliminate all distractions. And crisp, clean sound that captures key audio cues. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
Welcome back, everybody. It's too long. We missed you guys. It's no more island maps.
No more island maps.
I really enjoyed the games that we had on there. But we're going to be going into the maps that I think we're all a bit more familiar with. So it's going to be Dominator now for map number 2. And this is where we're going to really test out how these guys are going to navigate this matchup, because Soma is extremely dangerous early on. Obviously, he's very capable in the late game as well. SnOw, he's also pretty hard to break when he's developing. And his late game is very scary. Like, he will just keep storming you, reposition, look for another opportunity to take damage, and slowly whittle you down over time. But if you guys remember, the very, very start of the show, we were saying we think that the early game is going to be the most important here, because the way this matchup works is that Protoss has to just develop. They've got to get all these building blocks put together, and then when they have them all, they are eventually able to push. Oh, the sign's upside down. This is chaos. Okay? We appreciate you guys
awesome
out there.
Reaver there.
Yes. But yeah, you know, Soma's very good at interrupting games like this. He's very good at figuring out timing attacks that shut the Protoss down before they have key techs they need. So we're going to be watching the early game here in this whole next set of games very closely. And we're ready to get into it. This is game 2. Okay, SnOw here in the center right, and Soma in the bottom left on our 3 spawn player map.
Yes.
By the way, guys, before we get too far into this, just a quick plug for the Patreon. Consider signing up, patreon.com/ASL English. We would love to have your support.
Yeah, thank you very much to everyone who has been supporting. It's been a wonderful season, a wonderful year of ASL. And, you know, I think that overall, this was the best year of ASL. If you look at the balance of both seasons, super high quality. It felt like both these seasons were about top 5-ish ever in ASL.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny, like in the round of 4, I remember on each day I said, this is one of the greatest games I have ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
And I try to never exaggerate or, or embellish what I'm seeing, but I was like, no, truly, those were 2 of the best games I had ever seen. There is the CEO of Soup in the audience, probably over there in the front row.
Both of them, in
Huge
fact.
fan of StarCraft. Yes. There's 2 CEOs in the company. Both huge fans of StarCraft. So, in this game, it's going to be Hatchery on 9. No, oh, yes, it is. Okay, it's going to be Hatchery on 9.
Oh, cool.
Which I don't feel like we cast this that often, but it is
rare.
a mainline build here. Yeah.
Yeah, if I recall, the last time that I saw one of these and a Zerg kind of explained it to me, it has to do with larva counts, why it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you get the larva more quickly, even though you've kind of like, obviously it's expensive to sit there and make a 9 hatchery. Like you have to sit and be supply block for quite some time. I don't know if you have a more thorough assessment of it, Tasteless.
No, you're correct. Just in my own experience, I have to be really careful when I scout hatches on 9 if I'm not paying total attention to it. Because I can think, okay, hold on, he's going to do a cannon rush. Or at least if that's the spot you do it, and he might be trying to fake him out. Okay, not going to happen. But yeah, it's I think you'll encounter it online from time to time, but I think it's one of the less common builds.
Yeah.
Overpool is very common. Hatchery on like 11 is the other one, and then there's of course 9 pools. But someone may be trying to open up with a couple of different beats here to try to see if he can't, I don't know, get some kind of different edge out of this early on. By the way, the moving shot with the drone is crazy. Got to be careful. Both the probe and the drone have a moving shot.
Yeah.
So if one starts to get the lead in a fight, they can oftentimes snowball the damage from there.
Yeah, and there are some juking and jiving techniques that people are developing right now to try to get away. It's been very interesting watching that. A lot of it has to do with, a lot of people like to turn back on the approaching unit, because what'll happen is it'll kind of stop suddenly because you get in its way and then you quickly click away. And sometimes you can get a little bit further and prevent some of those shots. But yeah, I've seen it's definitely developing a lot. I've been watching. Flash has a lot of different things that he's trying out against it.
Yeah, it's funny because this was not a thing, the moving shot, for a long time in StarCraft. But now people are so good at it. You can, as long as you can basically try to follow the other worker and you can click correctly on the ground, you can just keep firing shots on it with the probe or a drone and eventually kill it off. I remember that was one of the first things I was like totally disgusted by when I came back to Brood War after rematch and came out. I'm like, what is happening? I've never lost workers like this before.
Yeah.
In this game, we see that SnOw went for the more modern wall-in, where the forge is tucked slightly further back. And he is going to send one zealot around and try to hide this somewhere. And by the way, Soma has been pretty greedy. There's only 2 Zerglings out. Everything else is a drone.
So definitely building up that economy as quickly as he can. These are like the small areas that I think that Soma is going to be focusing on getting ahead on. His early game optimization is going to probably be a bit better than SnOw's. SnOw is not known for like great macro or super awesome early game optimizations or anything like that, right? Like he's more cognitive, more micro based. It's kind of a funny skill set. Not a lot of players at high levels are like that.
Yeah, and SnOw's early game generally isn't too flashy. I'd put him closer into a category of like Rain here. But this time around, we do see he's sending the Zealot out. He did wedge it back here behind the mineral. He is going to have a second probe. The first probe actually try to go back into the main and see if he can find anything there. But Soma blocks it. Oh, hold on. Never mind. He gets around.
Yeah, and he'll see that Spire is on the way. So he can at least be prepared here for the possibility of Mutalisks coming in just a little bit later. Soma going to continue to throw down some hatcheries, it looks like. Good solid opening from him. Not a lot of pressure here from SnOw, but it was a very fast Nexus. So what do you expect?
Right. And so back here we have the Corsairs coming out. It looks like he is getting +1 air weapons after seeing the Spire over there. And so we're probably going to see an accumulation of Corsairs on the map. And so far, SnOw is very by the book with what he's doing. The second cannon, sending the few Zealots out now. He may commit with these. He may actually send them back. 4 to 5 Zealots is kind of the magic number where you can move out and fight off a lot of Zerglings and probably get back home safely.
The way that he's gone about this, the Zerglings haven't actually seen these Zealots. So these Zealots may just appear and surprise Soma. He runs up to the wall, and he's not going to see other Zealots there. So he might be tipped off right now that there are Zealots out on the map, but I don't believe he's seen them until just now.
Yeah, this is a pretty sneaky move here. And what will happen with these Zealots is first of all, they are going to get in. They can probably find a pretty good location. And then you're going to see if he's going mutas or not. Because there's 2 Scourge out here, but is it going to be a bunch of Mutalisks hatching or no? And the fact that he sees that there aren't mutas coming out is a pretty big deal. Because it means it's not going to be that kind of, at least not yet, that kind of play where he's going to get clobbered by a bunch of Scourge and muted here in the main. Meanwhile, the Corsairs are going to go back and defend.
And trying to get a drone here, and ooh, he actually does get one right there. A Hydra was popping just as that Zealot died, so he should have seen that. Maybe we'll see him add a few more cannons on because of that as well. But yeah, Soma hasn't really shown what he's doing quite yet, other than that one Hydra popping out.
You know, it does make me wonder if this is going to be +1 Corsairs and +1 Zealots. Was that a mistake to send the 4 Zealots out to lose them like that? You know? Yeah, +1 Corsairs are strong, especially when they're backed up by the +1 Zealots on the ground. Because then the Zealots are hitting everything. The Corsairs are killing Overlords and everything else around there. And now the Hydras are going to come up and put a little bit of pressure on here. And, you know, if you had the Zealots with the speed here, you might be able to fight this a little bit more easily.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a loss of the gateway here.
The gate's going to go down quickly. I think he has enough cannons. I'm not too worried about Soma busting him. There are a lot of Hydras coming across, but I think SnOw's cannons are going to be maybe just in time. Well, actually, Soma does jump in. The probe's going to start to get pulled, and he's picking off quite a few, but the other ones are finishing up now as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 2 more cannons left here. He is going to try to fight these Corsairs. Remember, you could get maybe 1 DT over here to try to drive these out. The, you know, Hydras, they're doing a lot of damage. I mean, the last Overlord is picked off. This actually supply blocks Soma. Here's that DT. There's 1 more Overlord in the group. Never mind, there's 2 more now. Oh, wow. My God, can he actually get out?
Ooh, no. That was a strong pickoff right there. Soma's so on top of just dripping his Overlords in so that he has that detection. Now he's going to move forward once again. The probe's going to try to fight, and it looks like he actually is going to end up breaking SnOw here.
Yeah, I think this might be game. Kind of an unusual way for the game to end. GG. Wow, that was a very odd ending to that game. It seems like there was just enough Hydras. And there wasn't, you know, it's funny. The cannons really do hold off the Hydralisks, but you need to have material in front of them. And I just wonder if maybe it would have been better to have those few Zealots back at home. Because you need at least a little bit more meat, a little bit more, you know, something with hit points to soak up stuff so that those cannons can finish. But, you know, we were talking about this earlier. Soma's very good at ending the game before specific moments. There was not Psystorm out in time. You know, the 1 DT that might have been able to save the day was not enough because Soma was very good at having this staggered set of Overlords come in.
Yeah.
You know, so... You know, this is not uncommon to see, like, this tiny Zealot push across the map. And, you know, you see Lings hatching, you go, okay, so it isn't going to be a Muta all-in or anything like that. That would mean that Hydras are going to be coming out, but then you have to have enough at home. By the way, the cannon placement back at home for SnOw seemed a little bit funny looking. I don't know if we're going to get a shot of it. So, you see how there's actually not a lot of room with the way this is set up?
Yeah.
There's a vacant area to the left of both the 2 top cannons, which makes me wonder if there's a better wall-in where you can put more cannons inside. I don't know if this is what prompted Soma to attack in here, but all this surface area behind your wall-in is really important. And if you don't have enough cannons there, you just won't be able to survive.
It's very true. And we've definitely seen a lot of Protosses lose because of that in the past. Also, I do want to point out, you were asking, is this the right move to send the 4 Zealots out? I don't mind it, but this is the area where we were talking where it's like, well, this is where Soma is better than SnOw. These early game kind of optimizations, he did a good job of kind of hiding what he was doing a bit. His execution of the push was really good with how he rallied up the Overlords. And he this was close. He barely broke SnOw, but he did end up breaking him. And it felt like SnOw did have enough information. He wasn't caught completely off guard, but Soma just had enough here. And this is gonna be the weakest area for SnOw throughout the series. And obviously he's starting out down 0-2, so it's not looking super great for him. But I could absolutely have seen him holding this. If we have another game that looks similar, it felt like 50% chance to hold from SnOw.
It does feel like versus Soma, just get an extra cannon always. Like whatever you think is the right amount. We're going to go to another break, guys. Stand by. We'll be right back.
For esports pros, awareness is essential. That's why the Black Shark V3 Pro is tuned in to what matters most. A quantum leap in speed for instant audio response. Full range clarity that carries every shot call. Advanced ANC to eliminate all distractions. And crisp, clean sound that captures key audio cues. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
We are back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. And we're going to be going into game number 3 here. Right now, Soma up with a 2-0 lead in this best of 7.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we start to see just like a little bit closer games. I guess, the first game was kind of wild, and we said that wouldn't really be indicative of the series, and I think that is the case. But to see SnOw then kind of lose to just a Hydra bust before he has Size Storm in game 2, I'm like, ugh. We were talking about how this could be a 4-0 in either direction, but I really kind of wasn't counting on that,
Yeah, well, so much of the early game in PvZ, from the Protoss' perspective, is trying to figure out, is a Hydra bust coming or not, right? It's one of the reasons why you send the 4 zealots out. You can also discover there's other cheeses or other crazy things that are happening. But the fact that he scouted really well and then still just died to a Hydra bust is a little bit concerning. You know, Protoss, when they win PvZ, it's when they're in the mid game. There's almost no, unless you see some crazy cheese, but like let's assume it's a Forge expand or a Gateway expand or a Nexus first. You're going to win by going in there and hitting them once you pass the mid game. So if he can't survive that, he can't do anything.
Yeah. That is kind of a funny thing, right? Like Zerg is super strong in late games. A lot of people don't think of it that way because it's like, oh, Zergling Rush, key, you know, the memes, and it's like everyone thinks about that and the strong rush potential they have, and they definitely have those things, but generally Zerg is considered favored at the late games against both Terran and Protoss. But I actually think that that's where SnOw will end up winning if he wins this series here today, is can he get to situations that are like, if we get into any stalematy situations, that's actually where I think SnOw wins. Right? It's like normally I'd go towards a Zerg winning against Protoss there because they'll like plague grind and stuff like that, and that's really annoying for Protoss. But like that's where SnOw has shown us some of his very best games, is where he is sitting there being cost efficient. He's storm farming, he's scarab farming, right? And just kind of like beating the Zerg through cost efficiency over time.
Yeah, he's got to get there first.
Yeah.
He's got to get there first. I don't think we're going to have cheeses here. I don't think we're going to see a 2-gate. I mean, 2-gate's so rare as it is, but I think SnOw, I think we've had literally one game where he did it, like in all the ASLs that I can remember.
Yeah, I can't even remember seeing him do it.
There's other weird builds, you know, proxy gate. I don't think we're going to have it. I could be, I mean, by the way, I welcome being wrong here. I'm not trying to be clairvoyant and prove to you guys that I know what's going to happen next. I'm trying to predict this as well as I can. But I don't think Proxy Gate's going to be something he'll pull out. And I don't think we'll see Gateway Gas, which is maybe the rarest of the builds. And I think those ones are the hardest to pull off. But it's going to have to be Fast Expand.
Yeah.
And if it's Fast Expand, you have to not die to the Hydra Rush or any other rushes that Zerg have.
Very true.
So if SnOw's going to come back here, it's all going to be hinged on that.
Yeah, you really can see watching this series so far the difference between Bisu and SnOw and just how differently they play, and they're completely different skill sets. But can SnOw just kind of like triage the early game enough to get to where he's going to be favored? That's going to be the big question that we're looking at here in game number 3.
Yeah, and if Soma wins this next one, coming back 4-0 is so rare.
So rare.
It's so rare in StarCraft matches. You know, if he can start to get some momentum here, great, but this is going to be maybe the most important game of the series here for SnOw's sake, because right now Soma, he won on an island map. That's past us. We don't have any more island maps in the lineup. But, you know, the next... I guess all the way until, you know, map 7, if we get that far along, it's your standard play maps. So we need to see SnOw with some kind of a strong showing. This could be the ASL he wins, but right now SnOw has been unstoppable, literally 2-0 so far as we go into game 3.
Yeah, Soma looking awfully good. We're going to go into Radion for map number 3, and this was SnOw's pick, so let's see what he can pull off.
Okay, SnOw in the bottom left, Soma in the top left. Let's see what we get.
Whew. I'm excited. Like, I really want to see SnOw show us what he's made of in PvZ. I really want to see some late games between these two, because I don't think that Soma's bad at that, you know? I keep talking up how SnOw's really great at it, and Soma's stronger in the early game. But Soma's very good late game too. Like the guy he's a very full-bodied Zerg. Like he really can do everything like Sulky. A very different style,
but, again,
but like he does everything.
But SnOw's got to get there first.
Yeah.
SnOw's got to get there
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
You know, we've seen the power that it's a drawing of SnOw.
Yep.
We've seen that you know, Soma's just very dangerous early on. You know, his road to get here was like this. So this is going to be a pool on 9, by the way. Let's see if he gets gas or not.
A pool on 9. What are you, European? That's a 9 pool, Tastosis. In the free states of America, that's called a 9 pool, my friend.
Okay.
Pool on 9, Jesus.
And he does the extractor. He does the extractor trick. So it's not going to be, you know, I guess the cheesier version of this build that you'll see a lot of online. If you're it's funny because there's builds you see online all the time and you never see them in ASL. But yeah, it's packed here today, by the way. I guess some people got standing room over there. So this is actually a little bit tricky. If you go gateway expand and they do the 9 pool, they can really put pressure onto the gateway. So we might have to see coming up here well, he'll need to have the Nexus. He needs to basically be careful about both his ramp and the pylon and gateway here, and to not get overwhelmed. So this is a little bit of a tricky balancing act here for the. And by the way, that's the first scout coming out.
A little bit late.
I almost missed this.
Huh.
Yeah, that's much. So we saw this a little bit earlier in ASL, and you know, a lot of times the biggest new changes in the entire meta are happening in the ASL games. But this is a later scout than I am used to seeing, which means he has very little time to react. He's sending the Zealot out now. If I can learn more about how this works, I would love to tell you guys, but this is still very new to me personally in the matchup. He needs to have 1 probe and a Zealot at his entrance, and then he has to use the next Zealot that's about to pop out to fight.
It's important to note that he actually still went for a really fast Nexus here as well. And Soma is going to push by immediately. Very good micro targeting on the probe. 5 Lings up in that main base. You know, the fact that he has the Nexus quickly might really end up helping him here, but there is the potential for a lot of damage from Soma's Lings.
Yeah, this is really scary. The worst thing that can happen early game in PvZ is Lings get in your base, because then they can keep trying to hit these probes, and even though SnOw hasn't lost any yet, his mining is getting interrupted. He has to take these probes on the outside and pull them back in, and you know, it does add up over time. Soma has 2 control groups he's maneuvering around right now, although it looks like he's merged them back up into 1.
So far, I think the control of SnOw is pretty good. Like, I feel like he's done a pretty good job. Like, he's keeping everything going. I'm really trying to pay attention to that. Like, he's getting another pylon. He's still making Zealots. He's sending Zealots out. Things aren't getting surrounded. He's not losing a bunch of probes or anything. So I think that SnOw's dealing with it pretty darn well so far.
Yeah, he does have... Is that a Zealot going across the map up to the 3rd base, or is that a probe?
That's a Zealot, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, it must be a probe. Never mind.
I think, I think
saw
it's a probe.
He did walk... Oh, he walked back with the Zealot. The Zealot walked out, I think, under the Overlord, then came back. So maybe he was trying to, you know, trigger a defensive response or something like that.
So it's especially dangerous when the Lings can hit your probes making gas, or mining gas, because... You know, the probes aren't grouped up big enough that they can defend themselves easily. The Lings can very easily pick them off. So that's going to be a high-value target that we're going to see Soma going for. He has remade a couple Zerglings back here.
Yeah, that might be a reaction to that Zealot that had walked out earlier. So that would be the type of thing that SnOw would be looking for with that. Soma has the 3 hatches. I believe he's just droning right now. I saw some drones just go to the natural expansion. So Soma, I think, is just going to work on his economy. You know, his Lings have been annoying. But again, I think that SnOw actually dealt with it fine. And his Nexus was quite quick. So I don't feel bad for SnOw here. I did when they first ran by. But I think he's just executed his defense expertly.
Yeah. Well, SnOw is so solid at this control here. It's crazy. It feels almost like there's been hardly any damage other than some lost mining time here. The Spire is going to start. And, you know, we have the Stargate, you know, on the way here. So Protoss is where Protoss needs to be. Looks like only 2 Lings left. Once you get it down to 1, it's much, much easier to handle.
Yeah. 5 Zealots going to walk out across the map now, while 2 are still in this main base, being chased around by the Zealot. Now, this is going to force a lot of Lings out of Soma, but oh, he's actually starting to get a few drones. He's killed a couple drones in the last few moments.
Couple probes, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever, SCVs, I don't care.
Okay.
Whatever they are. Workers.
He's
Grunts.
killed a couple peons.
Yeah, the wisps are falling quickly.
Yeah, his Tiberium harvesters are going down faster than I thought. So he's going to send the Zealots right up here. They can target the sunk. They can actually get behind this little area where the minerals are. Ooh, great drone drill.
But that sunken's super low. That'll pop in just seconds as they lose 100 health as they finish up. Yeah, and he put that extra, so there you go. Pops it as it comes up. Really good execution here from SnOw, and he is... Like, he's forcing some good damage. The drones had to run.
Yeah.
He's putting a lot of damage on the hatch. I don't think the hatch goes down, but Soma has to make so many Lings. His economy is really being hurt here.
Yeah, what he wants to do is just wedge the Zealots in the back here, and then you're going to have to... It's going to be such a headache to get rid of these.
I think mutas
He's got 2 more coming out.
Literally, mutas are going to fly in to deal with that. I'm surprised he canceled that cannon, honestly. I think mutas are on the way right now, are they not?
I mean, I think so. The problem is, like, no matter what you do, it sucks. Because, you know, you're not putting on any pressure if you're going for mutas. These 2 Zealots are going to come up here, and they're going to run into the main. So there's 1 Hydra that's going to be out here. And that will kill this off over time.
Is Soma being a little bit too fancy by trying to sell muta and then go Hydra? Because SnOw saw something we did not. Because he canceled that anti-muta cannon. So... don't forget that is something that we did see. I believe it was Soma versus Best in the round of 8, was it not? Where it was a little bit too fancy at times, like some of the mind games he was trying to pull on Best. Like, he ended up winning the series pretty handedly, but it got a little too fancy, where like Spire is like in the middle of nowhere and stuff and just gets picked off by Zealots. You remember that?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's going to be hard to say, right? I mean, we're going to see this attack come across the map now. There are more cannons being made. You know, as long as there's enough to defend the Hydras, SnOw gets to go into the tech that he wants to go for. The Hydras are going to come down. This position is a little bit, I think, more comfortable. You can see there's a lot of room for the cannons in the back here. This is a Wallen that's set up to ditch the cannon and the the gateway and the forge in the front, if you can. Because there's no way for the cannon. The cannons can't be placed close up enough to actually defend this. And he's going to run out with these Zealots, and honestly, he does drive those Hydras back quite a bit.
I think SnOw's got enough of everything. I'm quite liking this game for SnOw right now, which is good because when those Zerglings first ran in, I was like, oh no, Taste, this is gonna be one of those finals where it's just like, remember Rain versus Light? It was like, oh dude, this is the worst finals ever.
This is terrible. Yeah. Definitely our worst finals. So this was basically a really elaborate fake out. He just got like 4 Hydras now, and tore down the gateway and forced out a lot of cannons. So like Soma is being pretty brainy here. He's basically pairing this build perfectly with the previous build, and that, you know, the last, you know, I was talking about it on before he went to the break, but it's like maybe you just always want to have 1 extra cannon, like whatever you think is the right amount to hold off Soma. Just make 1 more because he's so good at breaking you. Well, this time he just went for a fake bust. SnOw has made a lot of cannons, and you know, now that'll slow his gateways down slightly, although it looks like the gateway explosion is pretty big back at home.
Yeah, he's definitely getting that production up and going. And, you know, there's still a little bit of pressure coming out of Soma, but I think mostly right now he's got to kind of work on getting his economy to where he wants it. And I think the next big question that we're looking at is, does he go Lurker or does he try to go Mutas here to snipe High Templars? I think he's going to go Lurker. I think so far these Corsairs have been a bit too good for him to switch over into Mutas. Yeah.
You know, Soma's very good at having an Overlord just out of sight.
Yeah.
A lot of these games, like, it's something that would be really easy for us to just move past and not remark on, but, you know, he knows that one of the games Protoss tries to play is to come in there with the Corsairs, kill the Overlord off, and then have a DT come in. But he always has an Overlord to the side. Like, basically, Soma does not get bullied by DTs at all in any of these games. In fact, it almost feels like the Protoss is wasting resources trying to get DTs in when that could have gone into a main army later on.
And I like that you point that out, because I actually think that that is a natural evolution of what we'll see in StarCraft 1 as players get better and better. Like, the theory behind the DTs is cool, but it feels like perfect play should counter them really, really well. And actually, like, we've actually seen that mostly from the Terran point of view. DTs are very rarely used early game against Terran, because it's just like everyone's dialed in and they just don't do what they used to do. And they become more of like a fringe special situation unit.
Right, yeah. I think Mini was the last person to really try pushing DTs hard in a finals. And so we, once again, are going to have these Zealots pushing across the map. It seems like there's just enough Hydras everywhere. And the Corsairs are being chased back, so you don't have that kind of Corsair Zealot combo that really allows you to take the Overlords out while the Hydras are having to defend. Now, back at home, he does have a pretty healthy amount of Templars and Dragoons, but I just worry when I see the Protoss bleed off too many Zealots like that. That means their main army is going to be a lot smaller.
That is very true, and there's a lot of Hydras out here. If you actually look at the supply numbers, it shouldn't be quite that close. If we're looking for a SnOw victory here, it shouldn't be quite there. SnOw is adding a 9th gateway, which is as many as you ever see on 2 base for Protoss. And here we finally see the decision from Soma. He is, in fact, going for Mutalisks, and he does have that +1 flyer carapace, which is going to be very, very helpful when he flies in to snipe the High Templars.
Yeah. You know, the Corsairs can protect the Templars, but I don't know if there's enough that they can save the day here. Now, the Mutas are actually, I guess they could have been used to hit the Templars, but they were probably going to go right into the main. Because, you know, when you see this mini Scourge out here. So he's going to deny that Nexus. This really forces Protoss to try to win with a 2-base push.
Oh, wow.
And he's going to send these all the way back. This is actually so crazy to me.
This is one of the later Ogre Zerg gamers that we've seen.
Yeah. No, this is like the latest. It's not really a concept you see very often. Now, it didn't force the Dragoons back. SnOw is committing. He's going to run up here. Oh, the Hydras come in here and shut the Corsairs down.
Ooh, that's a big deal. We're actually in a base trade, which is not really that common. Oh my God. Storms his own Corsairs there. The Corsairs down to almost nothing. I'm not entirely sure about this, but I actually think the Mutas end up winning everything. Like, I think the Mutas can kill just about everything by themselves. Like, if he just makes another few of them, he could clear the army that's attacking him, and the anti-air over here is very poor.
Thing is, there might just be enough that actually Protoss can just take these units at his base and reinforce the push. I think SnOw just won the game.
Yeah, maybe.
It was one of the weirdest games ever, as far as, like, you know, them both countering into each other. I think Protoss is a little bit more straightforward, right? But, you know, drones are going to start falling really fast here at both the natural and the main base. Yeah, that's it. Soma loses.
All right.
Crazy game.
All right.
Wow.
Really interesting with the counterattack all in there from Soma. I thought when he actually got the Corsairs, like, really trapped by the Hydras, that his Mutas might be able to go up and deal with the counterattack, but he kept them down a little bit longer, lost quite a few of them, and came back really late. The damage was already dealt. So a very strong win from SnOw. A lot of things could have gone drastically wrong, but SnOw kept a cool, calm head, and he dealt with them and just plowed through.
Yeah. He managed, like we said, you know, he got that Templar tech up, he got Storm, he had all the building blocks in place. It was finally his turn to activate himself on the map, and he came out there with a push. Very unusual counterattack into the main from Soma. He's just got a very different approach to this matchup. It's very interesting to watch.
Well, Tastosis' love, man. Damn, where's the Tastosis' love sign? What is going on here? What is this? Did you pay to have that in the audience, Tastosis?
These are paid actors. The whole thing is fake, Artosis. These matches, too. This is WWE.
Like, no one knows that that's Tastosis' brother-in-law.
So we're going to go to Polestar. Soma looking strong. SnOw looking strong is what I meant to say. Soma, though, looking scary. Like, even in that last game, it wasn't clear that SnOw was going to win with that push until the last second.
Yeah.
Let's see if SnOw can keep the momentum going and tie this up 2-2. Otherwise, it's going to be Soma going 3-1. Okay, in the top left is SnOw in a cross spawn position. Soma in the bottom right.
I need to just throw this out there real quick before we talk about this game, because I'm really going over that in my head, because like my head was kind of telling me that I liked Soma's position for a second there more than SnOw's. Remember when his mutas flew down and then turned around and got the third base? I feel like if he had zoned the Corsairs out with the Scourge and gone and chased the army, like when you go Hydra Muta, it's really about picking off High Templars over and over. And do you think if he had gone back and done that instead of just decided to go base trade suddenly, like I feel like that's a better chance to win, is it not? Or would you agree, disagree?
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like that's what I thought he was going to do. And then when he went into the main, I thought, oh, okay, that's different, because I think a lot of Protoss players would have sent their whole army back home. I mean, I actually kind of thought that was what SnOw was going to be forced to do, and I thought, wow, that's a pretty dirty way to play, because you can take a fight down there, maybe even snipe Templars are coming out of gateways, who knows, and then kind of pull out, and all you're trying to do as Zerg is buy time. But SnOw did not change his game plan. He just started to barrel towards the natural. And yeah, it does make you wonder, right? Like, would it have been smarter to just take the Mutalisks back, chase the Corsairs away, and try to snipe Templars, and kind of do what we see all the time in mid-game?
Yeah.
This is like this might be the most common thing in mid-game now. PvZ is to have Mutalisks try to hit Corsairs, and then you and I talk a whole bunch about a Dark Archon that's never made because Best isn't playing. We've seen this story so many times before, but Soma has a really interesting approach with counterattacks in general.
Yeah.
Like, he seems to control the game really well by these counterattacks that come at unusual times, and also, like, if you don't respect him, you take way more damage because other people don't play like this. So that seems kind of what he was going for, but yeah.
Actually, that's a really interesting point that you bring up, and if we look at historically at the best Zergs ever to have lived, most of them are decisive counterattacky type Zergs. Jaedong, Effort, Soma is playing like this right now. You have to actually look. There is this other type of Zerg that's like legendary, like that's more controlling and army smashing. That would be like Savior and Sulky, for instance, right? Heaven forbid I ever say his name, but that was Savior's style more than a counterattack.
Yeah.
Right? But like that is interesting, right? Because he leans more towards like the Efforts and Jaedongs of history rather than the more controlling. Because like I guarantee you, if it's Sulky, he's turning around, he's killing the High Templars with those Mutalisks, and obviously Savior from a different time, but like a similar type of style of swarming and killing the army.
Yeah, like you're right. Like Sulky kind of knows how to surround the army and then dissect it and like surgically take it apart and make it useless and win the fight. But yeah, Soma's one of these guys, and like just speaking like as someone who plays a lot of PvZ, it's so frustrating when you like try to start your push and then there's a giant counterattack and you run back and you chase it away and then you try to do it again and it's like, oh man, they're just not gonna let me do what I want to do in the matchup. But it's kind of crazy. A lot of Brood War PvZs, you do not see anything remotely like base trading. Right?
Yeah. Not very often, for sure.
Yeah, it truly is a matchup where like both sides have a big fight and somebody wins and somebody loses, and that's kind of decides the game. But that was one where like it just wasn't clear who was gonna get away with what. Yeah. So. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to expand exactly on what you just said. Like, oftentimes we have these situations where you said, like, we have a big fight and someone wins and someone loses and that's it. But actually, we've talked a lot about this in the past, and this is Massling coming out right now, so I'll be quick. But like, we have it where you sometimes say like someone's wrong here if they're both going towards the same thing. Right?
Right.
If they're both going towards that, oftentimes one player is making the mistake. So maybe Soma looks at that and says, well, this is the wrong way to go about it, because if I'm going to lose a heads-up battle, most likely, I should be doing something else like a counterattack.
So this is a huge Ling all-in. And I don't feel like this was the best. Just looking at this off the bat,
yeah,
feels like this is a tough spot to make it work. The cannon's going to finish. What you need to do is, as the gateway is killed, you need to like throw a pylon or something else in here to plug this up. And that's exactly what he did. So he did it perfectly.
Excellent.
Excellent play. It's actually not that easy to pull that off, because if the Lings can spill through, the cannons can get surrounded, everything can fall apart real fast. How are there 3 Lings coming across the map? How is that a possibility?
You left one at home, Tasteless.
It's just like, they only hatch in pairs. How are there 3 there?
Well, every now and then there's a triplet.
Core up? So he got the core up in the main. So there's another part to this rush, which is that if you don't get your core up when they before they kill the gateway, you were locked out of your tech. But he was really on top of it. He made the core. The gateway's being remade. The Corsair's coming out. This is looking like the best game yet here from SnOw.
Yeah, that was a pretty failed Zergling rush. There is a Spire on the way. So I think this is going to be like phase 2 of the all-in from Soma, very, very likely. But the Corsair is going across the map quickly enough that he will scout this. So can this actually work from Soma? He's getting a fast second gas. He'll definitely have a lot of gas to work with. But yeah, I think what we'll see from Soma here likely is just some heavy mind game, where this is very obviously looking to me, Tasteless, is like, I'd be like, yes, he's going to try to kill me with Mutalisks. And I'd consider like, oh, maybe I want a second Stargate, maybe just add a few more cannons. But Soma's pretty good at mind games, so maybe there's a world in which he takes this position, gets his Scourge out, pushes everything back, and then does something like very greedy or very surprising.
He's going to get 2 Overlords. This is crazy. This is going to supply block the Zerg. Can he get a 3rd one? It was kind of a weird moment, because you don't normally see this many Overlords scattered around here. He did this because he wanted to try to hide them. Okay, here come the Scourge. I think you can kill this right before they get there, so that's going to be another supply block. Now he has to try to get them back home. This is a really important moment here, because if the Corsairs get shut down, oh no, he whiffed it. So they're going to get back home.
Oof.
Yeah, things are going amazingly here. Will we have a second Stargate? Or is it going to be more of the classic PvZ, where he's just going to tech up and keep cranking out Corsairs?
I don't think he'll go for a second one. I don't know. I feel like he's just going to add his gateways and consistent Corsair production here. We already saw from him as well some very good Corsair micro that we've been seeing, like that type of style from Mini lately. Like the one where they do like little circles and shoot behind them. So definitely SnOw has been working on his Corsair micro, so that might make him feel more confident on just staying with the 1 Stargate.
Yeah, there's a way to do this like flick shot with the Corsair, where it can like shoot behind itself, and pros have gotten extremely good with it. It's some weird thing, like you gotta like, I think you have to hit patrol, use the patrol key, and then like turn it a certain way. I can't remember how you do it, but we will see players use that kind of stuff. He's going to come across the map, and he's basically just checking, are there Hydras being made, or is this like a game where he's going to go, head-to-head with me and try to get his own Mutas and Scourge. And we see the Hydras coming across the map. Now, Psystorm tech isn't here yet. Yeah. And, this is another one of these positions when you look closely at it, there's not a lot of room for cannons back here. In fact, like this other pylon kind of behind the wall in, it's kind of uncomfortable. Like, I'm a little bit worried that once again we might have a loss here for the Protoss to just Hydras kind of killing off the entrance and then taking over. The DT gets shot down immediately.
Dude, if he just dies to these Hydras right now, that's going to be a hard series to come back from. Like, everything went right at the beginning of this game, and he's actually letting his Corsairs take hits on purpose, guys. Like, he needs to buy time to get these additional cannons up. But I think Soma's actually going to break him. Oh my God.
I think he's doing it again. This is insane. He actually slips through the bottom here. So I don't think we really talk about this that much in general, but like, you know, when you make a wall-in, you really do have to consider, because you can have like some wall-ins pushed further out and some pushed further back.
Yeah.
You do need to appreciate how many cannons can you actually get back here. Like, see this pylon that was being shot at a second ago? The one that the DT just ran by? Like, do you want a pylon there? That could have been a cannon. GG.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of, this is a, you know, in some ways, this is a very weird finals, because this is the second time this has happened.
Yeah.
You would expect a professional player to sort of know how much surface area they need for how many cannons. I mean, the Hydra busts are so common in this matchup. We probably see that kind of game more than any other kind of game in StarCraft ever. Right?
Yeah.
Is like the Zerg's up at the door, tearing down the entrance. The Protoss is trying to sandbag it as best they can and eventually hold it off. But it didn't look like the surface area was set up right for the cannons to have synergy. Didn't seem like the pylon at the top was ready to kind of fill in that area with you know, so that you could build there. And you know, it is odd. This is the second win that Soma's had now to basically there not being enough cannons to defend.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see, because, you know, obviously Soma just very narrowly beat Bisu in the last round, but like, this is the type of game that Bisu would never in a million years lose. And yeah, we're like, because look at this. I mean, you make this many lings and get completely shut down like he did. Like, he did no damage here. He got one gateway.
This part failed.
It was such a failure. Look at this, 27 probes to 15 drones. SnOw got 3 overlords with his Corsairs, right? And like, he just falls apart to Hydras being rallied across the map. And that's like, this is a killer one for SnOw. If SnOw loses this series, he's going to look back on this game, I think, more than any other and be like, I can't believe that.
Yeah,
like, this is not a game he should have lost.
Look at the 3 pylons
yeah,
down here. What is going on? And
You're
he's
right.
making a pylon above his Nexus now? Like, look at this. The pylon that's the furthest in the back doesn't really cover the one in the front. There's room for at least 4 more cannons above this, but a pylon's not done up there. Look, that pylon is still, it's going to finish basically, just now. And then watch, you see his other cannons come down here. We just don't ever cast games like this, because this is something that, like, you know, well, you kind of organically fix the more you play. Yeah, and so it's not that you can't hold off these rushes, but, you know, what on earth are 3 pylons doing at the bottom? That's crazy.
No, you're right. It's bad. It's really terrible placements. But actually, this is funny because we don't talk about this that much, but SnOw is known in the scene, the Korean scene, for having terrible SimCity, by far the worst. In fact, they call him a computer. Like an original StarCraft computer, because when you look at his building layout, it's like a computer's playing. It's like, well, this has no rhyme or reason. Like, this doesn't make sense. It's just not his skill set, you know? Like, he's good at other things. SimCity is absolutely not something that he's good at, and you can see it really underlined there.
It's like totally the opposite of like Rain's base layout, which is like completely autistic. It's like perfectly like organized, but like, yeah, you're right. Like SnOw's base, it's kind of like all over the place. And
it's a computer, man. It's you go play the mission, and you're like, why is there a Stargate here? Like,
why are there 4 pylons around my fast expanding Nexus? Guys, we'll be right back.
For esports pros, awareness is essential. That's why the Black Shark V3 Pro is tuned in to what matters most. A quantum leap in speed for instant audio response. Full range clarity that carries every shot call. Advanced ANC to eliminate all distractions. And crisp, clean sound that captures key audio cues. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
안녕하세요, 이영경입니다. 오랜만입니다. 2016년 7월 시작으로 팬 여러분의 큰 사랑을 받은 ASL이 어느덧 20번째 시즌의 끝을 바라보고 있습니다. 벌써 10년에 가까운 시간이 흘렀다니 세월이 참 빠르게 느껴지는데요. 20이라는 기념적인 시즌에 조금이나마 함께하고자 여러분을 찾아왔습니다. 수많은 명경기들 속에서 겹겹이 쌓인 여러 가지 ASL의 기록들. 저와 함께 되돌아볼까요? 번째 시즌부터 20번째 시즌까지 ASL의 모든 순간을 함께한 선수. 바로 프로토스 도재욱이 본선 진출 20회를 달성, 출석률 100%, 24강부터 결승까지 모든 라운드를 경험했는데요. 이제 남은 성적은 우승뿐이라는 도재욱 선수. 다음 시즌에서의 활약을 기대해봅니다. ASL을 대표하는 징크스 하면 뭐가 생각나시나요? 많은 분들이 떠올릴 무시무시한 적중률의 징크스는 바로 결승전 1세트 승자가 우승한다입니다. 지난 19번의 결승에서 무려 18번이나 적중한 징크스인데요. 단 한 번 이를 극복한 선수가 있었으니 바로 김민철 선수죠. 시즌17 조일장 선수와의 저저전에서 1세트를 패배했지만 결국 세트 스코어 4대3으로 승리하며 2연속 우승을 차지했었는데요. 과연 이번 결승 1세트 패자는 이 징크스를 깰 수 있을까요? 특정 종족을 상대로 가장 많은 연승을 기록한 선수는 누구였을까요? 바로 이영호 선수입니다. 시즌6 와일드카드전부터 무려 16연승, 랜덤으로 출전했던 시즌10의 승리까지 포함하면 무려 대프로토스전 18연승이라는 무시무시한 기록이 유지되고 있습니다. 이 기록은 앞으로도 쉽게 깨지지 않을 것 같죠? 한 시즌 동안 한 종족만 상대하며 결승까지 간다면 믿어지시나요? 주인공은 바로 시즌7의 변현재 선수인데요. 와일드카드전부터 저그 김성대 선수를 만나 시드를 획득하고 16강에서는 임홍규, 이예훈 선수와 맞대결, 8강과 4강에서는 브레인 김윤환과 불사조 김정우를 꺾으며 당시 결승까지 필요한 11승을 단독 저그전으로 채우며 진출에 성공했습니다. 지금까지 ASL 무대에서 가장 강력한 다전제 포스를 보여준 선수 누구였을까요? 역시 포핏을 달성한 김민철 선수가 가장 긴 다전제 승리를 이어나갔죠. 7전제에서 무려 10연승, 5전제로 진행됐던 시즌16과 17의 8강까지 포함하면 12연승이라는 대기록입니다. 이번 시즌에는 아쉽게 추가하지 못한 다전제 승패를 다시 어디까지 이어갈 수 있을지 궁금하네요. 2018년 ASL을 향한 새로운 선수들의 도전을 위해 처음 열린 ACS 우승 후 본선에 오른 선수들은 8명. 2025년부터는 ACS 우승자에게 더 많은 기회를 주기 위해 24강 진출권이 부여되고 있는데요. 앞으로 ASL에 도전할 새로운 얼굴들을 기대해봅니다. ASL에는 단 한 선수만이 가지고 있는 기록이 존재합니다. 최초이자 유일한 도전이었던 이영호 선수의 시즌10 랜덤 출전입니다. 테란의 버금가는 타종족 플레이로 4강까지 진출했던 그야말로 전설 같은 행보였죠. 4강부터 결승까지 모두 7곽이었던 시즌 기억하시나요? 네, 바로 지난 시즌이었죠. 1경기는 도재욱이 이재호에게 0대2 스코어를 뒤집으며 7곽. 2경기는 김민철이 장윤철의 거센 저항을 뿌리치며 또다시 7곽. 결승전 역시 명승부를 펼치며 끝에 끝까지 갔었는데요. 다시 떠올려봐도 손에 땀을 쥐는 혈전들이었죠? ASL의 명경기들을 복귀하다 보면 생각나는 맵, 어떤 게 있으신가요? 저는 이 맵이 떠오르는데요. 바로 실피드입니다. 실피드는 시즌6에 처음 사용되기 시작해서 시즌7부터 9까지는 네오 버전으로, 3.0 버전으로 다시 돌아와 시즌14과 15까지 무려 6시즌을 함께했는데요. 김정우의 버로우 저글링, 30분 내내 몰아치는 정윤종과 김성현의 4강도 바로 이 실피드에서 치러졌었죠. ASL 명경기 리스트에서 절대 빠지지 않는 맵입니다. 20번의 시즌을 치르며 수많은 기록들이 쌓였죠. 통산 100승을 달성한 선수도 벌써 4명이나 탄생했습니다. 최초의 100승 달성자는 김민철 선수로 시즌17 4강에서 100승을 달성했고, 조일장 선수는 시즌18 16강 패자전 도중 100승의 업적을 쌓았습니다. 테란과 프로토스 최초 100승 달성자는 이번 시즌 유영진, 변현재 선수가 그 주인공입니다. 앞으로 또 어떤 선수가 꾸준함의 상징인 100승을 넘어서게 될까요? 한 대회를 연속해서 우승한다는 것은 최상의 경기력을 꾸준히 유지한다는 뜻이죠. ASL에도 왕조의 상징인 3핏을 달성한 선수들이 있습니다. 이영호 선수는 시즌2부터 3, 4까지 ASL 최초로 3연속 우승을 이뤄냈고, 김민철 선수는 시즌16을 시작으로 지난 시즌까지 무려 4연속 우승을 차지하며 왕좌에 올랐는데요. 쉽게 나오지 않을 이 대기록에 도전하는 선수가 나타날 수 있을까요? 프로토스 김윤중, 정윤종, 변현재, 테란 이영호, 김성현, 이재호, 김지성, 정영재, 저그 김정우, 김명훈, 이몽규, 김민철. 지금까지 ASL 트로피를 들어올린 선수는 총 12명. 그리고 이번 시즌 그간 우승에 목말랐던 장윤철, 박상현 선수가 결승에 오르며 새로운 우승자 13번째 주인공이 탄생할 예정입니다. ASL에서 프로토스와 저그의 결승전은 4번 진행됐습니다. 대국민 스타리그 김태경과 김정우, 시즌 11 변현재와 이몽규, 시즌 16 변현재와 김민철, 지난 시즌 도재욱과 김민철의 대결이 있었습니다. 그리고 이번 시즌 장윤철과 박상현의 결승전이 성사되면서 프로토스와 저그의 5번째 격돌. ASL 결승에서 단 한 번도 저그를 이겨보지 못한 프로토스가 이번에는 반격에 성공하며 새로운 역사의 한 줄을 써내려갈 수 있을지 기대해 주시기 바랍니다. 어느새 불쑥 찾아온 가을. 가을은 프로토스의 계절이라고 하죠. 프로토스의 마지막 우승은 2021년 가을에 펼쳐진 시즌12 변현재 선수의 우승. 그 이후 무려 8번의 시즌 1,400여일이라는 시간이 흘렀는데요. 프로토스의 성부를 장윤철 선수가 이뤄낼 수 있을까요? 시즌5 예선을 통해 첫 ASL의 문을 두드렸던 박상현 선수. 그로부터 어느새 15번의 시즌이 흘렀습니다. 복귀 후 더욱더 강력해진 경기력으로 결승 진출에 성공. 10시즌 전에 놓쳤던 그 우승 트로피를 이번에는 손에 넣을 수 있을까요? 2016년 7월 17일 첫 경기를 시작으로 9년 동안 함께해온 ASL. 지금까지 ASL과 함께한 누적 시청자 수는 무려 2억 명 이상. 여러분의 사랑 덕분에 이렇게 많은 스토리가 쌓이지 않았나 하는 생각이 듭니다. 앞으로 영원히 함께할 ASL. 많은 관심과 애정을 부탁드리면서 다음 시즌에 다시 만나요.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. Soma is one win away from taking this finals. And I gotta say, man, the way that SnOw's lost his games is making me a little bit worried.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we almost ever talk about building placement at pro level unless it's to explain some new concept that's like really advanced, right? I mean, this is it is in some ways like one of the first things you learn about the game is like, okay, well, I got to make room for this over here. I can't make buildings like in the middle of my minerals, right? Because it's going to block me off. But, you know, having enough room for the cannons is really important. And it just seems like apparently SnOw has not quite ironed that out. I feel like Soma should be able to pull through. Maybe not this game, but in just one of these future games. And I'll tell you what, I hope I'm wrong. I hope SnOw can come back and do this, but he's not going to be able to do it if he does not iron out these wrinkles in his play.
I tell you, I was actually coming in here hoping for a SnOw victory because I think he's deserved it for so long. But watching this series, Soma's just a bit better, it feels like to me. He's just more well-refined. SnOw really does need to fix some of these issues, right? Like you know, I'm going to ignore game number 1. We've already kind of beat the dead horse with that one. But, like, I mean, come on, man. You got, like, everyone in the pro scene makes fun of him for his building placement. Then we see him lose 3 pylons at the bottom. Like, what are we even doing? Like, what?
Well, there was a 4th pylon.
How far down the ladder do you have to go to find someone with a SimCity that bad? Like D rank?
And what's crazy is, like, in PvZ, the pylon placement early on is really important everywhere. You gotta make all this tech and stuff. Like, and you gotta get cannons to protect your melee. Like, it's wild to see that. Anyways, guys, we're going to Metropolis. Fingers crossed that SnOw can play a little bit better here.
I will tell you what, Tasteless. Yeah, we see the SnOw top right, Soma bottom right, but if I'm Soma here, looking at the way these games have played, I'm going 3 Hatch Hydra every game until I'm the champion.
Oh, yeah. I think that you have the solution, right? It's not a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that many pylons around the Nexus, it's wild. Like, you know, usually you have, like, okay, there's 1 pylon below my Nexus in my main, then I'll make somewhere around my gas another pylon, because you do need all these defenses. You need another pylon somewhere kind of in between the 2 Nexuses so that you can make all your gateways over there. So that is wild. I'm glad we actually got a highlight of the Hydra bus coming through to kind of look at it in its entirety and be like, this is crazy. So, yeah, let's see what happens. But this is a tough one because right now, SnOw needs to have a 3-game win streak right now. And, you know, Soma's early game has looked so smooth, specifically with the Hydras, that I'm worried for SnOw.
Look, this is not undoable for SnOw. If he tightens up on his defense against Hydras, he should be fine, I would say. Oh, we have a 9 pool? Or is that overpool? I was kind of not looking that close, but oh, it was an overpool. Never mind.
Looks like that was overpool, yeah. So this is probably the most standard opening here. Now, SnOw has not scouted and is going for a blind Nexus on 11, which is, I think, one of the newer builds we see here in the meta. And is pretty good against overpool. You know, it is, obviously, this would just die if you, like, did a, 9 pool or 9 pool speed laying or a 4 pool, but, you know, I think he was spot on in knowing that Soma's probably just not going to do that. Soma's not relying on tricks to end the game immediately, and instead trying to just do these pressure builds to win with rushes. So this is going to be really nice. You don't need a second pylon early on when you do this, because the Nexus finishes right when your supply starts to get capped.
Very well mapped out build. Brings that additional probe down to finish up what he needs defensively over here. And of course, against the overpool, as you mentioned, he'll be totally fine with this cannon timing.
Yeah. These are the kind of builds that you want to be careful about applying on the ladder, because a lot of people just rush on the ladder.
Yeah.
These are definitely builds that are a little bit better. Excuse me. A little bit better suited versus somebody in a tournament where you kind of know roughly the playstyle you're up against. There is actually, by the way, plenty of room back here. Oh my God, hold on. Is this just, oh my God.
Just
no way.
Like a couple seconds off there. It's 1 damaged Ling, so I'm not too afraid. I don't think SnOw will lose any probes. If you look at how he handled this a couple maps ago, there was 5 Lings in his base, and he lost very little. Oh, he actually utilizes 2 more Lings to get a second Ling in there. 2 Lings is much more than twice as good as 1 Ling in the main base.
Yeah. Oh my God, his moving shot is so nasty. Oh, the Ling just barely gets away.
Nasty.
Nasty.
It's a nasty moving shot you got there, SnOw.
Nasty Ling user. Can he get this one? Here's the thing, man. These are 3 probes that are not mining.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, he's not mining gas right now either. Looks like he's going to have those 3 go into the gas now. Layer is inbound. Not a Hydrogen in sight. But then again, there is some brilliance to this, too. When you think of all the experiences SnOw's had so far, SnOw probably scrambling to get this probe inside the main to see if there's a den. In fact, there's nothing like that coming this way at all.
Yeah. So, you know, the probe being alive and being able to scout everything, I think that is great, obviously. You know, this does throw SnOw off, like, a little bit, the Ling being in his main base. But I feel like he has kept his composure. Like, things have gone wrong, but I don't feel like I've seen SnOw panic yet. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but, like, yeah, like, bad building placement and stuff like that, and maybe strategically some errors. But I feel like he's kept his cool, and, like, I don't think he's flustered like we occasionally see in high-stakes matches.
No, I don't think he's tilted. I think he's honestly gotten really good at kind of keeping his cool. You know, the more, you know, the more stage experience you get, you just get better and better at kind of keeping everything together. So he's got the Stargate coming along here. There are a couple Lings with speed out on the map now, but and there is a den being made, by the way. So he is, you know, it is 3 hatch into Spire, but there's also a Hydra den. I don't know if the den is at an unusual time yet or not. I feel like normally we have a couple more hatcheries thrown down before this becomes a thing. But let's just see, you know, what units are going to be made here from Soma. Soma's very tricky.
Yes.
At this phase of the game. So, you know, it's a little bit tough to kind of just look at the buildings and know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
You know, we did have games where, like, he would show a Spire or show a Dead because that's the red herring in the build. He's not going to use that tech.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have those mind games. Occasionally we have seen him get almost too fancy at moments. But, you know, he's gone through some of the very best Protoss in the world already. So definitely knows what he's doing with this. The 4 Zealots coming down for a little bit of pressure. Not sure exactly how much he'll end up getting done. Corsair flying down now as well. That Spire is just about to finish.
Yeah, he's going to go right in here. There's nothing here, man. This is really bad. Those Lings are really far away. He is going to chase these all the way up into the main. He needs to try to wedge these in the back. The Lings are coming. Ooh, I don't know about this. I think he needs to just let that Zealot die.
Yeah.
And send these guys back over here.
It's a lot of drones, by the way. Like, Soma really has been a little bit greedy in this game, you can see. That's why the Zealots are having such a good time. There's way more drones than I'm actually used to seeing at this stage of the game. But enough Lings that he should be able to clear this all out. Going after those drones in the main base. There is a Muta. A single Mutalisk. Like, there was a time where you'd see one Muta to try to trick Zerg, or trick Protoss. But right now, it's like, I mean, he might make more, but one isn't something you really have to worry about.
Yeah. Well, one is also kind of weird. For, you know, the fact that these Zealots have been here for this long, we don't see more popping out. Let's see if any more Mutas actually hatch. He's got a lot of cannons.
Dude, if a round of drones comes up, like, this is where you have to look at it and be like, okay, he's scared. Like, he knows the way it's been going. He's like, I can't lose this whole finals to Hydra Bus. And he's making so many cannons, and actually, I just saw drones hatch. So it's like, Soma is not even planning on attacking right now, and there's a million cannons going up.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking rough. The Corsairs, you know, he might still have time to cancel some cannons. But yeah, the Mutalisk was a decoy to kind of make the game look like maybe this was actually some other kind of attack. The 1DT, you know, 3 Hydras is just enough. Oh, hold on a second. He's actually going to get the Overlord. Now, he doesn't seem to have a backup anywhere. And the DT is more than welcome to just go ahead and try to kill all of the Hydras that are over here.
Yeah, going after that egg, that can be a tricky move where you're killing the Overlord that was going to pop. And, yeah, DT does enough damage to actually kill eggs.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because a lot of times when you see an egg, you go, well, I just attack something else. Everything else is a better value target. But he likely denied 2 Overlords. We have drones being transferred back over here, and he's going to be able to get an intercept. Dude, this is great here by SnOw. He got, I think, 3 drones total. The Corsairs are back in action. The gateways are getting up. It looks like Dragoon range is being upgraded. And, you know, after that, the only thing that you have left to get is a Robo. But, I mean, hey, you don't even need a Robo if there's no lurkers in the game, right? And what is that? That's going to be his 9th gateway there? He's going up to 10 gateways.
What?
So he's going to do a 2-base all-in. Yeah.
That's crazy. You never see 10 gates. Like, 9 gates is really the high end of what you ever generally see. And look at that, Robo on the way as well. SnOw is going for a kill here for sure.
Yeah. And this might work, man. He might just be able to get out and get enough damage over here.
And keeping those Corsairs alive still very, very important. Now, will Soma go into... oh, my God. It's like synchronized swimming. Will Soma go into Mutas here? Or is he going to go into Lurkers? Because he's got to do one. You can't just fight this with Hydras.
Yeah, 1 tech is coming. Oh, my God. I guess the Hydras can't quite shoot far enough to pin those. Zealot speed just finished, which is kind of funny. We saw Zealots that were slow earlier. That's very, very rare. You know, he seems to just barely have enough that, like, he can win these fights.
Yeah. That one Muta still putting in the work, even though there's been a bunch of Corsairs out the whole game. This guy's really, he's doing his best.
That's the hero unit.
Yeah.
If you look at the top of the Muta, you'll see Soma's head there. Okay, so now there's more Mutalisks hatching. So he's going to go Hydra Muta. Now, the Corsairs are basically all still alive. He wants to get up to 5 right now.
Oh.
And, I mean, we're just going to see this push come out, and we're going to find out if it's going to work or not.
And he's
when
got...
you see anything more than...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you see anything more than that one Mutalisk out on the map, you know you basically just, you have to get enough Corsairs to protect this.
Well, he has chosen to go Mutalisk Hydralisk, so the Observer's not necessarily going to be needed. I mean, there is a possibility he still goes Lurker, but generally you don't go Lurker and Muta at the same time. So the Muta's flying up right now. These have to pick off High Templars. It's so important. It goes after the first one. Storms go off and chase them away. He hasn't lost any High Templars yet.
You can overmake Templars with pushes like this. You can come out with like 7 or 8 Templars and just, like, you know that you're going to lose some of them, but, like, you don't care. Because as long as you kill off the Mutas and eventually push, you're going to have... Generally, like, if you're not being Muta harassed, the number is 4. 4 High Templars is usually enough Psy Storms that you're probably fine. And he's going to move out. And the Corsairs are doing some great zoning. The Templars are nearly over here. Nice kind of pre-storm that the Mutas walked right into. And this is where the push is going to hit. And I think he wants to go for the natural. He's thrown down to third base.
That was really, really well done.
There's no observer here. There's
man.
no observer with the army, by the way.
And there are Lurkers on the way, a little bit quicker than I expected, but I think that we're going to see this not pay off for Soma. Like, his actual army supply is incredibly low. Where is his army? Like, he spent a ton of money on Mutas. He's trying to go into Lurkers, and he just doesn't have that much left over.
Yeah, Dragoons can actually shoot down Lurkers pretty fast, but again, without an observer here, it's very scary. So he's going to back up. I don't see any observer on the mini-map moving across here. And, okay, there it is. God, it's late. That's insane. The observer finished after the third base started, which is wild, man.
He had the Robo in Observatory for a while, but I think because he saw Mutas, he just didn't make one. He's just like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, I
never mind.
get it. It makes sense. But, you need to at least have one when this push comes, right? Because this is, otherwise the game would have ended.
That's true.
So he's going to come down, and there are no, he's got to keep that alive. So he just has to make sure the observer stays alive. We've seen many games where Zerg win where they just run up and snipe the observer down. The Corsairs are going to bully the Overlords back. Lurkers are going to try to come from behind. I don't think they've quite got enough. It's mostly just Dragoons now. Oh, my God. Okay, he needs to move the rest of this army down here with this.
Yeah. This game's done.
And I think that SnOw is won.
Yeah, this game's definitely done. Yeah, very well won game here from SnOw. GG doesn't die to Hydra Bus. Goes on to win. I'm sensing a pattern here, Tasteless.
See a Hydra bust again. Someone's going to take this.
For real.
I'm really glad to see SnOw play a better game there. If he can get the push going, he usually wins the game. The problem is Soma's so scary early on. He did a great job as well, setting those Zealots out and kind of getting in between everything and confirming that scout. Seeing the one Mutalisk hatch like that was really big. And who knows, maybe the Soma would have committed with some kind of a Hydra bust, but, the Zealots stayed for so long, it became so obvious what was happening, he just ditched it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what he wants to pull out in this next map. So we have 2 potential maps left, right? Yeah. Litmus was the last map, which means the next map is... I can't remember. That's okay. We'll see it in a second here. I like to put myself into difficult positions.
I know.
Like, what's 88 divided by 7, Artos? I'm like, oh, God, it's 13.5. Like, I don't know. Oh.
All right, before we start this next game, I'm going to name 15 American presidents. Oh, wait, I can't. So, look, I mean, SnOw's done it. He only needs to win 2 more now. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's getting close. I mean, if we get... Don't forget, you start up 3-1. If you get to the last game, game 7, suddenly it's in your opponent's favor because they're on a run right there, right? They've got the tempo behind them.
Yeah.
So if SnOw can win here on Knockout, which was made to be a little bit better for Protoss, then, maybe he's able to take it.
All right, guys, we're going to go into that game now. Litmus will be the map after this if we're lucky enough to have a Game 7. Soma versus SnOw continues on. Okay, SnOw in the bottom left, Soma in the top right. And we are in cross spawns here. I'm going to do our final plug of the finals here. But consider signing up for the Patreon, guys. We would love to get your support. We would not be able to be doing this without you. Our casting is community funded. Patreon.com/ASL English.
A big thanks to everyone who has supported it since the beginning and, of course, throughout the season. You guys are fantastic. And, yeah, really looking forward to seeing who wins this championship and, of course, continuing ASL into 2026. With how good this year was, I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. I think we're going to, as crazy as this sounds, I think we're going to look back at the ASLs where you and I were still casting live at a Freaka TV and everything. And we're going to be like, those were the bad years. Like, those years sucked compared to the games we have now.
Well, I got to say, man, the games have been really, really good here this time around. Peace, love, and Brood War. I agree. By the way, this is 9 pool. I don't think I saw an Overlord made.
Yeah, you're right. It's a 9 pool.
9 pool, no gas. Oh, I thought he might make a gas and do the extractor trick. Yeah, he just did it.
Ooh. Okay, so on SnOw's side, is he trying for a Nexus first here, or is this just going to be the delayed forge? Do we know? Is there a way that you can tell?
It's Nexus first. It's Nexus first.
So does 9 pool just counter that?
Yeah, I mean, if you make 6 lings, yeah. I don't know if we're going to have it. No, hold on a second.
It is a delayed forge.
Okay. So I think he does this, like, end scout.
Yeah. See a Terran
player?
player?
And I guess what happens is, well, this is interesting, because I'm not that familiar with this specific opening, but I think the idea is he learned pretty quickly that he wasn't going to find out what's happening, so he makes a later forge.
Okay.
There's this whole incredible system in all the builds, especially with fast expanding, where you're kind of eliminate. Okay, they're not here, but they, you know, if I don't see an expansion over here, that means it has to be a quick pull. If they are there, if not, then it's like this whole crazy system they've got laid out to try to basically get the thing out as fast as possible while still being safe. Now, I don't know if this is going to work because there are 6 lings inbound here. And I don't even think the cannon's halfway done as the lings are halfway across the map. And even if the cannon does finish, 6 lings can overwhelm a cannon. Like, you need help here. You need backup. He's going to pull 5 probes. He needs to plug up these entrances. The cannon is going to finish, but remember, there's a little animation when it gets done. It's like, I am not attacking yet. Now I am.
Oh, and he does try for the surround. Oh! Maybe the wrong choices here. And I don't think he's making any more lings. So if you just keep a couple probes on the ramp, they will take shots as they try to go up there. I wanted to mention, like, I was surprised that he didn't use the drone to mine out those minerals. That's one of my favorite tricks on Knockout, is, like, you can really screw things up if you mine your opponent's minerals. Sometimes you can get units up the ramp. But here, I think he's pretty stuck. I don't think those 3 lings can do too much.
Does that cannon cover that very edge?
I think it like just barely does, I think.
Well, it's hard to say. Soma doesn't want to try to test it because he can at least deny mining at the natural, right? You don't have to get in the main. You can also just, like, right now, this Nexus is done, and there's no probes mining here. That's a problem. The surface area is tiny, so he's going to have to use his first Zealot to come down here and clear these lings out.
And you can't make very big circles here, or the cannon will hit you. So it's a little bit harder. Ooh, he gets a probe kill there.
He's so good. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Do you know how annoyed SnOw is right now? I would be fuming.
Yeah.
Like, if this is happening to me, where it's like, all the Protoss wants to do is get their building blocks put in place and start to tech. And it's like, these lings, like, the build right now is so messed up. Okay, so he gets 1 in there. I would not be surprised if he counterattacks with the 2 Zealots and has a probe right-clicked on this 1 ling. A lot of times what you can do is have 1 probe clicked on a ling, and then right when he's about to kill it, you just change it.
Yeah.
Swap it out with another one.
Looks like he's chasing.
And he didn't actually send that back.
No, he didn't send out his Zealots at all, so, I mean, that could end up being an issue. The thing is, Soma, I think, preemptively made some Zerglings for that. Yeah, he's got 4 at home, so You know, the two Zealots sending out, who knows if they would have gotten damage or not, but at least would put on some pressure, which SnOw has none of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is painful. This is painful for Protoss. Like, this is the Zerg's dream is to just get a couple Lings in and start attacking workers. And this one Ling is doing a lot of work. Soma's not doing anything fancy back at home. He's getting that layer tech out now. We can see the second cannon has been made, which is totally fine, I think, especially versus Soma. But again, the Hydra bust doesn't appear to be coming.
Well, that Ling still running around being as annoying as it can be with that speed. Second cannon almost done. Corsair going to be on the way here. I mean, at the end of the day, the 9 pool didn't do that much, so I do think that SnOw is a little bit ahead here, right? Because his Nexus was very, very fast. But it feels like Soma has recovered enough that I really don't... It's not like one of these games where... You know, the Ling Flood game that actually SnOw ended up losing, that one I was pretty sure I'm like, okay, SnOw's got this, right? But I don't feel like I see that here. This seems like it's a really playable position for both players.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, this has been rough for SnOw early on, but let's just remember what we've always been saying in the series is that we need to see SnOw just get to Templar Tech, get Psystorm out, and then it seems like it's a very manageable game for him.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's got to ride the Soma mechanical bull and not fall off. And if he's been on long enough, he should be okay. So the Corsair is going to come across the map. It immediately scouts the second gas and turns around. So he's thinking this second gas is going to be some kind of Mutalisk power play here. And we've got Scourge out. We've got Mutas inbound. So he's going to make a second cannon in his main. Now, how committed is this? Because as Zerg, a lot of times they can pull out if they think this isn't going to work.
Well, right now this Corsair being chased back with those Scourge. The Mutas chasing these Zealots back as well. Seems like the cannons are finishing just in the nick of time here. I don't think these Mutas are going to really get too much done at the moment. Trying to do a little bit of harassment. Some pretty good micro on both sides. Yeah, look at that. That is the new micro that we're starting to see players do.
Yeah,
look at that. They're not even looking
Beautiful.
at the Mutas as they shoot. It really reminds me of Valkyrie micro.
Yeah, yeah. And so you can keep the Corsairs kind of skipping around in the air. Because, you know, a lot of times what Corsairs want to do, it's the same thing with Mutas, is they want to, like, stop. They want to stop and slow down and just sort of hover there and fight. But you don't want them doing that because then they're harder to pull away. And it seems like Soma can't quite get in and do that much right now.
No.
Behind this, the Evo Chamber's coming down. He's on his 5 hatches.
Ooh, SnOw adding that line of cannons. Do you see that? Like, he's being very careful. I think he has sniffed out that there's heavy Hydra behind this.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, he knows the way that all these games have gone. Now, I don't think there's actually necessarily going to be a Hydra bust this game. I don't know that Zerg is in a position to do that just yet. But yeah, I mean, look, he just says, okay, we're going to immediately get 4 cannons. Before I even think about a 5th gateway, I want to have 4 cannons here. He's going to, no doubt, have Storm coming. He has trapped a probe in the back in his main so that he can put it in the hotkey group with the Corsairs. So a lot of people don't know this. Even people that watch StarCraft a lot might not know this, but you can trap the probe in with the Corsairs. If the probe is stuck in the corner, it'll make the Corsairs group together. The same way that Zergs put an Overlord in the control group with the Mutalisks because it makes them bunch up. You do the same thing with the probe and your Corsairs. So that's going to make them even stronger when they try to fight. And I noticed in one of the earlier games, he didn't do that. Like the first game on the island map, the Corsairs were like really spread out. It was very odd to see. So it's good to see him doing that here now.
Yeah, you are right about that. That's interesting. Maybe he was worried about like ensnare or something, since there has been a lot of ensnare on the map, but that never happened, of course.
Right. Yeah, I think you might be right about that. I think he had a really deliberate reason to do that. But I noticed when he did that, I thought, okay, I want to watch and see if this is something he's not going to do in the other maps where he's getting Corsairs. So, as of now, the Zealots and the Corsairs are going to move out here, and this is a great target. This 4th base, if you can force a deny on this, that's going to be huge. Takes out an Overlord, and I don't know that these Hydras can save this in time. The damage is just spiraling down, and he forces a cancel. That's huge, man.
Very nice indeed. The Zealot's going to mostly get out of there. The Dark Templar did get picked. He had one trying to run through, but it looks like Soma, you know, he's had great Overlord spreads throughout the series here today and was able to catch that.
I gotta say, probably the best anti-DT play we've ever seen in PvZ that we've casted.
Yeah.
Like, the DTs do almost nothing. It's crazy. He's getting the Robo, and it looks like he's getting up to 8 gateways back at home. And, I mean, for what we said earlier on, I mean, this is kind of where SnOw's in the clear. He's got his Templars. Storm might already be done, even. He's just getting his gateways, and it should be smooth sailing. Now, Soma may go for a Lurker Contain here. You know, okay, hold on. He's going to try to move out.
And actually, he's got enough to push this all back, which is really good. You know, you mentioned he might go for a Lurker Contain. This is one of the strongest maps for Lurker Contain, but SnOw has plenty of army to prevent that. As long as you don't let Lurkers get onto your kind of like high ground right there where the third base is, you're going to be in pretty good shape. But there's the Lurkers. There's the Lurkers.
He's still going for it.
Yeah.
So this will all be hinged on whether or not the Lurker Contain gets up. By the way, this is probably the hardest map to break Lurker Contains on.
Yes.
Another nice Storm. The Corsairs, they basically kill all the Mutalisks. And Protoss is running onto this high ground area. These Lurkers might have to run back. When the Lurker Contain fails at this moment, you just end up playing against a turtling Lurker player.
Yeah.
Like, they just send the Lurkers back. He's actually burrowing some. And, you know, I guess there isn't actually an observer here. Oh, no, never mind. I spoke a second too soon. It's over here on the left side of the screen.
Well, no, you were right. That just popped out. So, you know, coming up a little bit later. But it seems like he has enough Dragoons. I think he's okay here. I think he's going to be able to save this as long as he gets those Zealots in the front. Zealots actually way far behind. Oh, God. Yeah, the flanking Lurker actually doing a lot of damage to this army so far.
There's no observer, no Overlord here to see this. I don't know, man. This is actually looking a little bit dicey. Like, I think the Hydras might barely be able to win this. He has one more Templar. He's going to have a nice Storm. But, you know, I don't know that we can say that this is quite enough Protoss units where he's safe. There's a lot of Hydras back at home. There's one Templar, which I think doesn't have a Storm in it, by the way.
Looking a bit rough. You know, Soma has his 4th base up. He's taking a 5th in the bottom right. And the base that SnOw is taking, I think SnOw is the best player at playing with a mineral base in PvZ. But, like, that doesn't help him with more High Templars. So he's going to have to expand one more time really quickly, which is how SnOw generally plays this type of map. But I don't know that he can. Like, this is not a very strong-looking army, and Soma's macro is insane right now. Look at this. He's over 100 supply against a 108 of SnOw.
Oh, I don't know about this, man. This is looking really bad. He's got one Storm on that Templar at the bottom. He's kind of... Oh, God. Okay, that one actually doesn't have enough for a Storm. Zealots are going to come up. SnOw, I think, is just barely going to hang on again.
Just barely. Barely.
Yeah, let's not forget that actually the Zerg is taking the main at the bottom right. So Soma's continuing to grow. But right now, it's all about surviving this push. And I think SnOw just did it. Beautifully done.
Loved the pick off of the Overlord. Got rid of that one Lurker as well. But Soma's macro still looks really, really strong here. And that makes me really scared because he's also picked off High Templars. And with only 2 gases, it's really hard for SnOw to replace those. So SnOw needs to think about, okay, where are we going to get a 3rd gas? That is I mean, he can try to attack, and if he gets a base, okay, maybe we're in an even game. But if he attacks and it fails, he loses. That's it. So you either attack and kill stuff, or you get another base immediately to get more High Templars.
There are these online guides you can follow to teach you like how to play like pros. I made a YouTube video about it on my YouTube. But a lot of times in a moment like I just learned this, but a lot of times what you want to do is try to figure out are they going for a hive? If they are, you need to try to push them. If not, you need to turtle. That's actually the play. Hold on. The mutants are going to come now. And I mean, there's just not enough to defend. Where are the Corsairs? The Corsairs are at the top left.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Looking very, very bad right now. Another failed DT. He does have another High Templar with Storms here. Soma actually pulling back. He does a great job disabling the splash damage in that army, then pulls back with his army. And you can see that SnOw is trying to get 9 o'clock. Very important base, but Soma's going to get in there before he has anything set up other than a pylon.
Yeah, so see the 3 Corsairs that are chasing us now? That needed to be with that push. it's not to say that the push would have won the game, but, you know, you need to have enough covering the Templars that the Storms aren't just forced out. Because if the Templars are forced to spend their Storms on the Mutalisks, that's when the Hydralisks win the fight for you. So SnOw's going to take a 4th base at 6 o'clock, or at least it looks like the game's setting up for that.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. That's what he needs right now, is that additional gas base. Looks like he does fly in once again, goes after the High Templars. Some Storms going down, has to pull back here once again. Soma up 20 supply on SnOw right now. SnOw knows he's in a very tough position. He's got to take these fights perfectly if he wants to go on to Game 7.
Yeah. The bases are mining out pretty quickly here. It's 3 base Protoss versus 5 base Zerg. The Hive has started. So, you know, when Zerg is locked into layer tech, that's when the Protoss basically just has to defend, because that means the Zerg is trying to end the Protoss, right? When they're going to Hive, that's when it's the Protoss's turn to push. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to confirm that. It seems like this is going to be a very tough map to actually scout that out on. So, he's going to just ditch this. He's going to move down here to the natural, and I think he's just going to try to push there. And this is going to be the Hail Mary play. If SnOw can make this work, I think we're going to go into Game 7. If Soma holds this, it's very likely that the Zerg is going to just win this entire ASL Finals.
All right, SnOw trying to get up onto the high ground here with his Zealots and Dragoons. It looks like, yeah, that top part of Zealots is being held pretty quickly. This big swarm of units here from Soma is absolutely going to crush these Dragoons. No chance for SnOw's army as his supply plummets once again.
Yeah, he even morphs the Hydras that are damaged into Lurkers, which could allow him for a counterpunch attack with Hydra Lurker down to the 3rd or 4th base. This is looking very, very bad for SnOw.
I tell you what, this is looking like a dominating performance right now from Soma. SnOw is trying desperately to set up a 4th base, a base with an additional gas here. He comes up with his army, but Soma just with so many Hydras, and even as he loses these, don't forget, he's on 5 bases. He is macroing up so quickly here that SnOw has almost no chance to hold.
He's going to bro these Lurkers. I don't see an Observer, by the way. I mean, if there's... Okay, here comes one now. At the last second, the Overlord's picked off. Oh, my God. I don't even know that he can hold this. I have not yet seen enough Templars in the game where I feel confident that you could hold off everything that Zerg has. I think these Hydras alone are going to come up here.
Well, it looks like with more and more Hydras coming over, the base is starting to mine out here for SnOw as well. The gas very, very, very low. SnOw is kind of taking stock of what's on the map as he finds everything in the bottom right. We might see him tap out. There's really not a lot left for him in this game.
Yeah, even the Lurker Egg denying the the Nexus to be made over here. And, you know, it's been rough. I mean, it's funny because SnOw managed to push out, but Soma has played such a strong mid-game here that SnOw really can't get anything done. He's had no successful pushes anywhere other than that canceled hatchery way early on. And there's just so much on the map here for Zerg.
I tell you, this has been an outstanding performance here from Soma. Like, he has so much of the map. We're definitely into a later portion of this game. SnOw is trying to put together something here, but Soma's about to hit 6 o'clock. He's got this big army that's kind of distracting SnOw, and this is going to cancel out what I think was SnOw's last chance at a 4th base.
We can see now another push out here, but it looks like it's a PvT army. I mean, there's no Templars here. It's just Zealots and Dragoons.
No, not looking very good.
Yeah, I think this is it, Artosis. I think Soma is the ASL champion. SnOw's army is going to be completely smashed.
Yeah, unbelievable here from Soma. He's just returned from military duty. I don't think we're ever going to see something like this again, where someone comes out of the military and immediately qualifies and then wins ASL. Just absolutely ridiculous. Following up 4 sulky victories in a row. GG! And Soma is finally an ASL champion.
Unreal play here from Soma. I mean, he earned this. He was the better player.
Yeah.
SnOw made some mistakes. Soma played near perfect. I mean, it was truly something to marvel at. Even in that last game where SnOw pushed out, he fought back really well. He got his third base up. Soma was just so in control of the map. There was nowhere that SnOw could strike, and there was nowhere that he could even take a fourth base hit.
This is your champion. Soma completely outplaying SnOw here tonight, completely outplaying the entire field. He had some really tough matches on the way, but he dispatched everybody in his path. Some amazing matches, especially in Zerg versus Protoss from him.
Yeah, it was incredible. We're going to be having an interview in a second here. Soma, I mean, after so many ASLs, in what was maybe the most unusual season we've ever had, he did it. He came out on top, and SnOw will have to come back another season if he's ever going to make an ASL champion.
All right, interview now with our champion.
Soma, let's have you here. Let's have our interview. In the end, this long-awaited dream of yours. You started as an amateur. You never got to experience living in a pro team environment. Once more stepping on this stage, you are a contender. And after undertaking this challenge, after your military service, you have become a champion. This golden opportunity, Soma, fake Jaedong, to show your skill and ability in front of so many fans, you have become the best of the best. As the dynasty of Zerg continues for another season with your name. How are you? I'm sure you have many things running through your mind. There were moments of hardship. There were times you had to give up. You must have thought about whether you really can make this happen, and you've finally done it. You have earned yourself that star. Let's hear how you're feeling. Wow, for real. Honestly, I played in so many ASLs, and at one point I started thinking, is it really my fate to become a champion? I kept slipping up, but I went to the army. I came back with a fresh outlook, mindset. I am glad I applied myself to tournament play again. Going up on stage and winning an ASL right after finishing your military service, that's a really difficult thing to do. How was this even possible? When I was in the army, I was stationed in Cheolwon, and then thanks to my daughter Haso, I was saved and transferred full-time to Gwangju. Wow, the power of family. Thanks to my daughter Hassel, I was finally able to practice the game at night as well. It's like my life is fulfilled. It all really does come down to the power of family, the power of love brought you to this place. Look around. Your colleagues are all here. There were many people cheering for you online. And there are fans who have been with you since you started streaming under the nickname of Fake Jaedong and up until now. I will give you a chance to thank all of them. Among my fans, there were people who told me to go pro because they themselves really wanted to do that but weren't able to. So it was a big motivator for me. Thanks to that, I was able to work hard. I would really like to thank my wife for fully taking care of our kid and making it possible for me to practice, and for helping me practice. Sins, Paralyze, Mini, Best, and Stoke. They helped me practice even all through the nights. I am genuinely grateful. And now you have earned a star and can look forward to more dreams to be accomplished in the ASL as a Zerg champion. Please tell all the fans who cheer for you what to expect from you in the future.
저는
This is but the beginning.
이제 시작이라고 생각해요. 민철이 형이
Solky's
포핏이
4-peat is an
너무
unthinkable accomplishment,
말도 안 되는 업적이지만 저도
but I too will work diligently and try to get there.
있게 열심히 노력하겠습니다. 네.
Guys, once more, a round of applause for Soma. He gave his best.
뜨거운 박수를 부탁드리겠습니다.
We will have the award ceremony in a second. We have a bouquet for you as well. If you don't mind waiting just a moment, we will proceed with the award ceremony. This wraps up the long-awaited grand final here at the Google Play ASL. This was a season the players worked harder than ever, and a season where we could feel the love coming from the fans. Thank you so much for making all the cheerfuls and giving the players your strength. Let us proceed with the runner-up and champion ceremonies. And for the runner-up award, we have someone who always makes it possible for this tournament to take place. Please welcome on stage the CEO of Soup, Mr. Chae-young-woo, for the run. SnOw, as our runner-up, wins 10 million won, and so many bouquets of flowers from his cater students as they express their support and gratefulness. He did not make it this season, but with all of these flowers, let's look forward to his future exploits. Let's take a commemorative picture. Please look at the camera. Guys, once more, a huge round of applause for SnOw, please. And a round of applause for Mr. Chae-young-woo, who always works hard so esports can move forward. Thank you. Once more, congratulations. The flowers. Yes, come help us out here. Big thanks to your colleagues once more as well. Good work, SnOw. Guys, a round of applause. And now, it's our main character, the ceremony for the hero of this play. I was so surprised because on our phones, the phones we always looking at, there is Google. And it never even crossed my mind that Google would want to sponsor this tournament. But we have someone to thank for helping esports grow and making it so the players could show their passion. The Global Managing Director of VIP Member Rewards Global at Google Play Points, Mr. Chang Hyun-se. The great Google. The Google that loves esports. The Google that gifted you all with so many points. Oh, he is so young. Director, Mr. Chang Hyun-se. Google. The almighty Google is here to show their love for esports. They sponsored us. They gifted all of the fans with so many Google Play points. We have tens of diamond tier members here. Thank you for being here this season. This season of passion. Our players' efforts, it was a time we saw how much Google loves games. We had Google Diamond tier members coming here to see this live. How was it?
어떻게
Let's hear your
생각을
impressions.
하셨는지 소감 말씀 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
This was such a fresh experience.
너무 감회가 새롭고
Hello to our
아이돌
Diamond tier
멤버
members.
여러분들 반갑습니다. 그리고
And I too personally really like
개인적으로도
StarCraft.
되게 스타크래프트를 좋아하고
I played it very
게이머로서
diligently.
열심히 지금까지 달려왔는데
And to keep in touch with you guys,
포인트는 앞으로도
Google Play
게임 오브
and
여러분들
Google Play
지속적으로
Points
하기 위해,
will keep sponsoring
ASL
ASL.
후원을 하게 됐습니다.
Continuously. No, wait.
계속-
Wow, you
아니,
speak
한국말이
amazing
굉장히
Korean.
잘하세요. 아니,
You love
정말 이
StarCraft and you will
잘하고,
keep supporting.
그래,
Wow.
지속적으로도 이렇게
Let me thank
다시
you on
한번
behalf of all of our
제가
fans too.
수고하는
Guys, a round of
팬분들께
applause.
말씀드리겠습니다.
Thank you so
자,
much.
뜨거운 박수 보내주십시오.
Breaking Google.
고맙습니다.
God,
대왕
Google.
구글.
It truly is
와,
a
정말
session of
이
a season
정도의
of
열정의
ardor.
시즌은 좀 처음이라 말씀드리면서요.
There's now one more
그럼
player
이제
who was able to
한
become an
명의
ASL
선수가
champion only thanks to the
ASL 옆에
sponsorship from Google
구글
Play.
플레이를 달게 된 선수가 있습니다. 시즌에 후원을 받아야지만 그 시즌의 우승자가 될 수
Let's
있는
call this
오늘의 주인공을
main character
불러보도록
up on
하겠습니다.
stage.
아마추어에서
From amateur
최후의
to
ASL
reigning
우승자로
ASL champion.
정말 말도 안 되는
With
경기력으로
unspeakably
최고자리에
good
올라선
performance, he reached the very
선수를
top.
불러보겠습니다.
Let's call him up on stage. It's a Zerg.
저가
He is the champion.
선수죠. 우승자
It's Soma.
박상현.
Soma has
박상현
earned
선수가
an ASL star.
ASL 별을 달았습니다.
He claims the title of the best
구글 플레이의
player of the Google Play
시즌의
season.
최고의 선수로 자리매김하게 됐습니다. 자,
Let's
우승을
take a
차지한
commemorative
박상현
picture
선수에게
as we
다시 한번
congratulate Soma once more.
말씀드리면서 기념 촬영을
Please look
진행하도록
towards the
하겠습니다.
camera.
자,
And how about a little
봐주시고요.
smile?
활짝 웃어주시고요.
We will keep cheering for
그리고
you
좀 이번 시즌
as you move on to
시즌을
fulfilling
위해서
new
새로운
dreams in the
꿈을
ASL.
선수 응원하도록 하겠습니다.
Once more, a round of
다시 한번
applause for
우승을
Soma
차지한
on his
박상현
championship
선수에게
run.
뜨거운 박수를 보내주십시오. 네. 그리고
And we'd once again like to thank Global Managing Director of VIP Member Awards Global and Google Play Points, Mr. Chang Yun-se. We hope Google keeps supporting esports.
esports의 많은 후원과 도움
A round of
부탁드리겠습니다.
applause for Mr. Chang
장현세
Yun-se,
상무님에게
please.
뜨거운 박수 보내주십시오.
Thank you. Thank you.
감사드립니다. 고맙습니다. 자, 이제
Now all that is left is for the
우승자만
champion
할
to
수
take
있는
over the
시간이
stage.
기다리겠습니다.
Soma,
이제 박상현 선수는
you are the champion
Google
of Google Play ASL.
ASL 우승자가 지금 됐거든요.
Thank you for giving your best this
이번
season.
시즌 수고해 주셔서 감사드리고요. 마지막에
You will have your trophy ceremony in a moment.
자, 이렇게 이번 시즌 그
We
어느
were able to do
시즌보다도
this season
정말
with
뜨거운,
more passion and love
열정과
than
사랑으로
ever.
이번 시즌 함께 할 수 있었거든요.
I think the players were able to
무엇보다도
play so well,
여러분들이 직접
most of all
찾아주시고
because you
선수들에게
guys
박수를
showed up,
보내주시고
you cheered,
힘이
you
돼주셔서
gave them your
이렇게
strength.
선수들이 좋은 경기력을 선보였다고 생각을 합니다. 그리고 또 이렇게 멋진 무대에서
And we'd like to thank
함께
Soup for
선수들의 무대를
making this
만들어주신
tournament
선수들께도
possible.
감사의 말씀드리고 그리고 무엇보다도
And all of the fans
엄청난
who showed their
후원을
support,
통해서, 팬분들,
as well as Google Play.
즐거움을 주신 구글 플레이에게도
It's
감사의
time for
말씀드리고
us to close the
저희는
show.
여기서 인사드리도록 하겠습니다.
What is left is your trophy ceremony. I'm sure you thought a lot about how to do a cool ceremony over the years, so please raise the trophy and give us a cool ceremony. This does it for this season of ASL. We will see you next time. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being with us. Thank you.
감사합니다.
And there you have it, the champion of ASL Season 20, the returning Soma, well-deserved. He was so close before going to the military. He's come out of it and continued the Zerg line of domination in StarCraft 1.
Yeah, no Sulky winning this time, but it was another Zerg. The Zergs are looking very strong as of late. This was a fun one, a very different finals. Excuse me. But I gotta say, I love doing ASL. We love sharing this game with you guys, and we are so excited to start another season next year. We hope you guys consider signing up for the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. And Tastosis, any closing thoughts?
Now, thank you everyone for watching and supporting all this time. Spread the word. It was a great season, and we'll see you on the next one.
Reaching high to the sky.
제 그림 그리고 이제 오신 분들이 좀 약간 기억에 남고요. 또 땀과 정성이 들어간 거 아니겠습니까? 항상 매 시즌마다 어머님이랑 오시는 분이 있어요. 휠체어 타시고 ASL로 인해서 힐링을 많이 하시는 것 같은 느낌이 들어가지고
외국인 분들이 생각보다 많이 오셔가지고 진짜 막 십몇 년 동안 팬이었다 뭐 이렇게 말씀하시면서 감격스러워하시는 모습이 좀 기억에 많이 나는.
제가 최종전 할 때 이제 팬분이 꼭 이겨달라고 한 게 되게 기억에 많이 남는 것 같아요. 옆에서도 다들 화이팅하라고 했었거든요. 이미 됐었던 순간이었던 것 같습니다.
ASL 시즌 20까지 와서 너무 기쁘고
제가 또 프로게이머 생활하면서 또 이런 대회가 있어가지고 활동할 수 있게 된 거에 너무 감사드리고
20시즌 동안 열어주신 숲 여러분들 너무 감사드리고
그동안 이 ASL이 진행됐던 게 시청자분들의 많은 관심 덕이 아닌가 싶습니다.
시즌이 굉장히 많이 됐는데도 변함없이 응원을 많이 해주셨는데
많이 시청해주시고 응원해주셔서 감사하고
굳은 날씨에도 이렇게 와주셔가지고 너무 감사드리고
이렇게 많은 분들이 찾아와 주신다는 게 정말 너무 행복한 것 같아요.
지금까지 응원해주셔서
항상 응원해주셔서 감사하고
응원해주셔서 너무 감사합니다.
저는 끝까지 포기하지 않을 거고 끝까지 도전을 해서 대시를 맺어서 우승이라는 타이틀을 꼭 얻을 수 있도록 많이 노력하겠습니다.
다음 시즌 뭐 앞으로도 잘할 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
여러분들 있기에 저희도 있기 때문에 항상 앞으로도 잘 부탁드립니다.
아직 또 가야 될 길이 멀고 30, 40, 50, 100대까지 같이 늙어가는 우리 ASL가 우리 저의 인생과 여러분들의 인생이 되었으면 좋겠습니다. 멋있게 늙자고요.